Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
Jokic would not have. I'm not saying he's going to go over there and they'll suck. But
I don't know.
I, I think if you
I think
swap them,
if you swap Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic on teams, you're still seeing Jokic kind of impact his team a little bit more. And like I don't know, it's a thing for me where it's like they still have decent enough shooters around them. They still have defense around them. Like it's kind of hard to compare when you want to like make that argument. But I would still put in saying that Jokic is 1A and Embiid would be 1B. But it's also interchangeable and say that Embiid
no.
can be 1A one night and Jokic can be 1B one night.
Well,
So
over the season, then Joel Embiid is 1A more than Jokic. So
I
I feel like Joel Embiid's the best in the NBA.
I think Joel Embiid definitely did have a better season. And it's crazy to say that Joel Embiid had a better season than like a guy who like broke so many freaking historical numbers over the whole course of the season, but I still think that Joel did have a better season than Jokic, especially when you look at the teams. And I mean, like, yeah, Joel got James Harden like not even halfway through the season, like in the last quarter of the season, but you don't really have
But
like.
even then, he didn't get. I mean, James Harden. It's not like. I mean, we understand what he's done, but he hasn't been like James Harden, like Houston James Harden. It's not like he has that James Harden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't really know how
That
to.
fool's been scrub. He's been scrubbing it up, and I
Hmm.
mean that's not Joel Embiid's fault or
To
whoever. But
to me, it's a thing of just like Joel Joel's bench, like all like the Philly depth is not as good as the Denver depth. Like, and then especially when you trade James Harden, and like you're saying, with James Harden not necessarily being too good, like, or at least James Harden level good. Um, it, yeah, I would still say that Joel Embiid's my MVP over Jokic,
yeah,
but
same.
that's still not to discredit Jokic from being.
I'm not discrediting him. I'm just telling you that I think Joel Embiid is
If I could give
he's
my
that guy.
total opinion, it's that Giannis is better than both of them, and Giannis should technically be MVP again, but they wouldn't give him that because the numbers aren't going to be there. Um, Either way, though, Chris, what do you like? I mean, do you have like an opinion on that MVP race?
I would ultimately I would say no, but I do agree just that like coming down to Joel Embiid and Jokic would be
Mm-hmm.
where I was at. Um, and I wasn't listening.
I wasn't listening. I was
I wasn't listening. Like to each of y'all speak to it. To be honest, I was looking at the bracket. Um, but I guess I kind of heard a little bit like about like them both kind of having incomplete rosters, right? Having one having to deal with the Ben Simmons stuff, the other having to deal with Murray being out. You know what I mean? So kind of similar situations, coming from different angles. The only difference is Embiid's in a better place right now. Like Jokic is still just waiting on his dudes or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so
Small.
they've both been like having to a carry a lot and b like they've been producing. You know what I mean? To
Uh, just a small side tangent, just because you brought up Jamal Murray, but I do not ever want to hear people say that Jamal Murray's better than Dejounte Murray. I don't ever want to hear that. That is some of the weakest stuff that I've ever heard. He's efficient. He's an efficient scorer.
he's a better shooter.
Yeah, he's an efficient shooter, efficient scorer, better than Dejounte in the scoring aspect. But he's not a better playmaker. He's not a better defender. Like there's so much stuff that Dejounte Murray does that's so much better than Jamal Murray that like I don't ever want to hear anybody try to say that Jamal Murray is better than Dejounte Murray. And then I see some Thunder's fans.
They will say it. They will say it. Oh, I know.
Uh,
I saw them talking about Shea, right? Or just
well,
I saw some
just
guy saying he was not it, right?
yeah, like there's this Thunder fan on Twitter that just said like that like Dejounte Murray is not it, and like he's putting up empty stats, and I'm like,
Yeah, I seen that.
you're an OKC fan. You're an OKC fan. Your best player is Shea. Like, what are you like? Are you just gonna talk trash about Dejounte and not say the same criticism for your own player? So it is just like, yeah, people were tripping after this playing game, man. People were tripping after this play-in game. That's my take on that at least. Josh, I know you had some stuff to say about Devin in the play-in game. So how'd you feel about
Well,
it?
see, I'm not. Yeah, I know you're gonna. I don't know if you were, if that was a jab at me because you're like people are tripping, and it's kind of like I don't know if I'm nitpicking, but it's like the same thing that I've been saying all year. Like I look on Twitter, like after the game, just going through stuff, and I feel like everybody's super wet over Devin's game, and I'm like, I don't understand why. Like my gripe with Devin all year has been like, dude, you are 6'6", or like I'm assuming, right? You think he's 6'6". He looks, to me, he just looks huge. He looks bigger than that. But like you are 6'6", and all you do is stand at the 3-point line. Like, and I know like some games he does make good backdoor cuts. I said that before. I think whenever we were talking about the Lonnie and Devin, whatever, I'm like, I think that Devin moves well, like without the ball, but the majority of his shots are at the 3-point line. It was just making me so mad yesterday, like that he did not score one basket inside the 3-point line.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he got lucky. He got hacked at the rim. I forget who fouled him. So, actually, I think it was the defensive kid, the number 5, the one that was playing.
Herb
Yeah,
Jones.
Yeah, dude,
Herbert
God, that
Jones.
guy was everywhere, right? Shout out that guy.
Hmm.
But I think it was him that met him at the rim. But if it wasn't for those 2 free throws, then Devin would have had 21 points on 7 threes, just straight up 7 threes. Like, so it's like it makes me mad, and everybody's like, "Oh, Devin showed up. Devin showed up." I mean, I guess like to me, he had 12 points at the half, and with 2 minutes to go, I think it was at the 2 minute and 36. I looked at the box score earlier, 2:36, and then again at like a minute and a half, he hit 2 threes in the last 2.5 minutes. Which at that point we had already lost that game. Like, so I'm not going to say they were garbage minutes, but they they were threes that didn't do anything for us. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
not like, so that puts him at what, 12 minus, I mean 23 minus, so 6. He had 17 points. So he scored 5 points from the third quarter and all the way to the 2-minute mark of the fourth. He scored 5 points and he's not attacking. Like it bums me out that he's so big, but he takes all his shots at 3-point line. Like, to me, and I know like y'all are gonna be like, well, he's a 3-and-D guy. He's a 3-and-D guy, and like I understand that, but I heard Jakob all year tell me, oh, well, Devin's playmaking ability, blah 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 blah. Well, then do it. Like in this game of all games, like do it. Like I believe I text in the group chat. There was there was a play with, I think, like 2 minutes before half. Devin got the ball with Jose Alvarado on him at the 3-point line.
Yeah, where
He
he got to,
pumped.
it was whack.
He pumped, which I don't know why you pump. Like in my mind, and like we go play basketball. If I mean, I'm not 6'6", but if I catch a ball at the 3-point line and I have like a little guy on me, I do this to Chris. I mean, I do this to y'all guys when we play. Like if I know I have an advantage, and I just go to the post. I go down low. Like I just don't get it. He pumps and then he tries to play around with the ball, and that fool just rips him. And he goes
Yeah.
and he gives up a 3 on the other end of the court. I'm just like, so it's not Devin. I'm just talking all this mess about Devin just because we were talking about that.
Right.
That's not. I don't think he's the reason we lost the game at all. Or I don't think. I think he still had a. I mean, it's not like you could say much because I think he was like 50% or damn near
Yeah,
50% from the 3-point line.
and it's easier to say like he came to show or he came to play when a lot of our guys like did the
Yeah,
opposite. You know what I mean? They
yeah.
looked flustered. They played real
So like,
undisciplined. And
I'm not trying to like just rip into Devin's ass, but it's like everybody was like, "Oh, Devin, Devin, Devin." I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. Like I just said, like I heard Jake say all year that Devin was his shot creation, whatever, and it bums me out because I want more. I guess maybe I just want more from him. Like I'm just tired of him shooting. Like because at one point I looked at the box score and he was 4 for 10 from the 3-point line, and I think he hit 3 in the first quarter. So, and that was before he hit those 2 at the end. Like I just want to see more than him just shooting the ball all the time. If
Yeah.
we want a 3-and-D guy, like we should. I mean, we could have kept Bryn, and I'm pretty sure if Bryn was playing in this game, he probably could have had 23 points. I mean, he did that last year, right? He's
Yeah,
done that multiple times this year where he leads us in scoring.
and most of those games where he would lead us in scoring, it's because everybody else was playing like garbage.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that Bryn was doing was shooting
Yeah.
threes, and then the point total goes up like this: 3-3-3. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, the only stuff that I have to say for that, I'm pretty sure on that play that you're talking about, which again, yeah, like I agree with you that like obviously Devin wasn't perfect the whole game, and there are things that you can ask everybody on the entire team to improve on from that one game alone. But
it's more of a. I'm just like I feel bad because I'm just crapping on Devin, but I was like super frustrated. I'm like, what
I
could have we done
I mean
differently? Like I don't know, man.
I think it's perfectly fine to like still see it in the light of like, well, what can we learn from this game
Yeah.
for Devin?
Yeah. But every player and you know we are
yeah, and
Spurs
it's not
fans,
it's
so
not
so we're
De- yeah, it's
we're
not
look
Devin.
we're looking at it that deep. But yeah, every player you could walk down the list. Well, why did
Yeah,
they do this and
yeah,
this and
like
this and this?
and like Dejounte, like everybody was talking about the refs. I was talking about the refs, and Chris, you said it, and you said it.
DeJounte literally like put himself in all those
Yeah,
positions,
and
every
Chris
single
said it
one.
best. That's what I was gonna say. Chris said it best. He's all, yeah, he got those fouls. The refs blew those whistles, but Dejounte's putting himself in those stupid situations.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and then Keldon was just
Keldon just couldn't make
that
a
guy was.
shot to save his
couldn't
life
do
in that
anything.
first half.
Keldon looked like last year. Keldon running
Yeah, like
aimlessly. You know what I mean? It was just
yeah, and like Lonnie. Well, I mean, Lonnie didn't play much to criticize
I
either. He had that
that's
one blow by and like
him and Devin are the two people that I feel like get like the most like to me the most leeway for the game, because Lonnie did his job in the limited amount of games that the limited amount
I
of
think
time that they
what
gave
did
him.
he end up with 9 minutes? I think he ended up with 9 or was it 16?
17.
I want to say
16. 16 minutes, right? 16 minutes and 9 minutes in the first half, I
Yeah.
believe.
And obviously when you take a guy like Lonnie and you don't give him the time to get his rhythm, he's not going to do good in the second half, and he didn't necessarily show up too much when
well,
we put him on the floor.
I'm wondering, and I'd have to go back and look at the rotations and stuff like this, but like, is it because if a guy like DJ is in foul trouble, you can find minutes for Lonnie, right? But if a guy like DJ and Jakob is in foul trouble, now you're not gonna replace Jakob on a 1-for-1. So I wonder if like we put like Kata Bates out there early, right? And I wonder if like having to find more minutes for our bigs and not bleed so much from those positions, if that eats into a guy like Lonnie's minutes. To be honest, like overall, it was just like kind of a perfect storm of bad things happening. I mean,
Yeah,
KJ looked flustered, DJ looked flustered. Everybody was operating at one degree off.
Primo looked like he was 19.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and credit to New Orleans because they attacked Primo right away, and I was actually pretty pleased that Pop pulled Primo pretty early because it was like, oh, that's a weakness. We need to get it out of the way. But they attacked him as soon as Jakob gets in foul trouble. They freaking went at Collins. Brandon Ingram went at Collins. Valanciunas went at everybody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
did.
So
Valanciunas and I said this. I was like, oh, who am I scared of? And it was like, I don't know what did CJ end up with? 32, and he had like
sorry,
20,
Jake. Sorry,
he had like 27 at half.
Who are you talking about?
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum, right? He went off for in the first half, but Jonas was just consistent, like whipping our ass for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel bad for the guys and everything like that, and it's a disheartening way to finish the year for sure. Because if you were to ask, I mean, if I ask you what's the worst loss of the year, not including what's the worst loss of the regular season, most people would probably point to the New Orleans loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to win 3 out of 4. And then to lose the way we lost against New Orleans, and then
but I mean, but again, the only, but again, it's like the only loss that we had that felt anything like that was against New Orleans, right? Like, it is a division matchup. You could tell, like they were down to talk shit to us. You know what I mean? Even though we were
Yeah,
Even though we weren't talking at all. We were deer in the headlights for 3 quarters,
when
so we
when
weren't saying
Yeah,
Keldon
when
shit.
Keldon got blocked, is that what you're gonna say? When he got
yeah, when
blocked, when
Keldon
he got
got
blocked that
blocked at
on
the
that
end of the half, I think.
yeah, that guy
and
was
and that
in Keldon's face,
homeboy
and
just yelled right
Yeah.
at Keldon. I
Keldon
was just like,
turned.
I mean, like, I was really hoping, which I think we kind of got it. Like, I was really hoping that got Keldon into like the right mindset to like kill the game
Yeah,
for the
he
rest of
looked
it.
he looked he looked way better in the
And
second half
in
for
that
sure.
second half, he did pick it up, man. And I mean, it's just
And
like,
another
yeah,
thing too, we didn't talk about the minutes, but I don't understand. And I know Chris, you said they were going after him, but if I don't understand why you start Josh if you're gonna play him 10 minutes the whole game. I would have just started Josh Richardson then.
me too. That's
Like
so, and
I
Well,
don't
that's
I
the
don't
thing.
understand
That's
it.
the thing
Like
that I was gonna say is like, at that point, y'all, you're kind of talking about how like Dejounte foul trouble. You think those minutes can bleed to Lonnie. To me, the way that if I'm thinking the way that trying to think the way that Pop thinks, right? It's that if those minutes are getting bled to anybody, it's to Trey. It's to Trey Jones because you just want a point guard on the court at all times. And
and even Trey Jones only
Lonnie,
got 16 minutes.
Lonnie, yeah, exactly. And Lonnie really only had like so long as a quote unquote point guard for our team
yeah,
to where he's like running an
yeah, you're not
offense.
gonna. I get what you're saying that normally under normal circumstances, and especially when Dejounte wasn't playing because he was injured and he got sick and all that. Trey was the 1-for-1 replacement, but
Hmm.
but in this game, I don't think that you can think of it just like that, like
Well, so
because
then still
he got in foul trouble so early, like
in
it can't just be just Trey.
putting it in this context though, that like same thing with Lonnie. Lonnie was still kind of coming on and off of the court from this little back tweak this
Yeah,
last month,
yeah, true. I
and
mean,
so
And I
so
was wondering if that played into
it
part. Like
makes I'm
I
sure it
thought
makes Pop not
maybe he's
want
still
to play
hurt.
Lonnie as much because he just wants to like one, preserve Lonnie's health, but two, not risk the chance of just Lonnie going out there and just blowing it
yeah,
because he can't, because he's just not in rhythm like he had been from the All Star break. And so then that's like, to me, if anything though, I feel like those 10 minutes from Primo should have just like I'm glad Primo got his run. I'm glad that like he got to see what it was like to be in this atmosphere. But it was also a thing of just like if we were definitely trying to like have a little bit of a better chance to win, I think those minutes should have gone a little bit more dispersed out to like Lonnie and Jay Rich.
I wish that Lonnie got run in that stretch where we could not where the Pelicans didn't score for like 5 minutes and neither did we. We did nothing with that
yeah,
drought. And
yeah,
it's like we just had nobody to break anybody down.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
But at the
that's
same
when I
time,
think
like,
that that's why it frustrated me with Devin because
yeah,
But
that's the
and Chris
opportunity.
so then
Christopher said it best too. Like I think he said it when we were talking about Devin's up and downs or just in general, and you said that Devin hasn't taken like when it's Lonnie's turn, he knows it's his turn. He takes 20 shots like on those games, and I feel like this could have been like he was already shooting lights out. And I think I tweeted him like, man, I wish Devin would learn how to pump fake because the people were just running at him, and he would just let it go in that mist where he was missing all the threes. Dude, if he would have thrown a pump fake, you cannot tell me like I
Yeah, but
said
what
it.
if? But it's also at the same time it was the pump fake that got Alvarado up in his grill.
Yeah, but that was that he pump faked when he was right there like that. The
I
one time he pump faked, there was just
was
no
with
need
the short
to.
with the short guy
Yeah,
on him.
yeah. Like if he's gonna shoot the ball
well
over anybody, it has to be that guy. There's no need for that pump fake.
so
The other
so
guys were like running out.
Juan's right in saying that it was a 16-1 run in their drought and stuff like that, but that
No,
16-1 run
I
definitely
think that
could
was
have been like
before
a
that.
26-27 run. To me,
We
that
were in a drought.
we had 3 to 4 shots that looked like they
Well,
should have just
in
gone
their
in, and
drought, we had a drought as well. At the end of
yeah,
their drought,
yeah.
like that 16-1 run might have like bled, but that
it
we could
it
not
was
score.
it was definitely a moment where it was like, man, we could have had more than 20 points in this one run because they
Yeah,
were missing everything. But then like literally like Josh said, like the first half of that run was us hitting everything. They
And then we
call a
didn't do
timeout,
nothing.
and then we start missing everything, but they were still missing everything. It was just like, man, like we
That was
like
that was our opportunity to cut it real close. I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy because even through all that, like we still had a shot. And I was gonna tweet this too when it was 2.5 to go in the third quarter, and it was like our season could be determined on how we close this quarter. I mean, you
Mhm.
could have made it a 12-point game to go into the fourth quarter, and to the Spurs' credit, they did cut it to 12. I mean, I guess kind of quick. It was like 9 minutes to go or something like that. Like, but so instead of 2 minutes to go in the third, you wait till 3 minutes into the fourth. You just spotted them 5 minutes of game time in the second half of a elimination game. You know what I mean? And even through all that, you could still see the light at the end of the tunnel for just like all the way up until what, the 4 minute mark or something like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that's, I think that's why it's the most frustrating. Again, it was like it was the playing game, the Hornets, yeah, the Hornets and the Hawks, right? And
Mhm.
it was Van Gundy and Jackson, and the Hawks are putting it on them, and it's apparent, right? Charlotte's gonna lose, and they kind of lost it a little bit, right? The guy gets ejected or whatever, which
Poor
you know,
Miles Bridges.
yeah, and it looked bad like right away. It looked bad right away. But anyways, Van Gundy was saying like, there's a way to win, there's a way to lose, and this is not the way to lose, right? So
Yeah.
like I knew that our guys weren't going to do that. You know, I knew that we weren't going to lose our cool and that we weren't going to, and it was tough, man, because they not only did we have the pressure put on ourselves through the foul trouble, but then they put it on us. They
Mm-hmm.
attacked us. They continually put pressure in the right ways, and we just continually look frustrated the whole time. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think if there's one last thing that I can add to the whole play-in game, it's like just for a little bit more in defense of Devin, because it's a thing of just like, yeah, like Josh said. I mean, there's still a lot of things that I think Devin can do, and I think a lot of things that he'll work on uh, over this off season in order to pick up on it. But in in this game, Devin played his role to the T. Like he played what like the team wants him to do to the T. And that is to shoot the three ball and to play defense. And
Yeah.
that is what he
Yeah,
did.
but Josh's argument, or the argument, is that things change in the game. That
Yeah,
was the game plan
but
in a perfect scenario, not with two of your leaders sitting
at
on the
the
bench.
same time, when this has been your role the entire year, and like I understand, and I really wish that I would have been able to see more from him in that sense, but I'm also not complaining about what Devin gave us, and I don't think Josh is complaining about it either.
No,
uh
I'm
but
not complaining. I just want him to be more like
yeah,
because as high as you are on him, I can. I mean, I would. I don't think that you just want him to
but
be
the
a three
the
and D
thing
player. You would want him to be
Yeah,
complete.
I
I
want
mean,
him
you
to
know what
be
I mean?
more of an actual like 3-level scorer.
Yeah.
That's what I want from him. But it's a thing also where it's just like, well, shoot, man, there's a lot of players that when they see their two best players not shooting good, they're not gonna step up. They're not gonna do a lot of like the things that they would normally do in when their players aren't on it. And Devin was able to do that. Devin was able to, even when DeJounte was out. Because the thing that I really wanted to say if we were going to win this game was we would not have won this game if it weren't for Devin Vassell. That's what I was going to say. Because Devin was the only person
Yeah.
that did like productive stuff in that whole first half.
Yeah,
And no one else did.
and to the same point that
Yeah.
I said
I think
earlier
I think
about
Lonnie. I think Lonnie had
Oh,
9.
Lonnie too. That
It
and
was
that's yeah.
Lonnie and Devin
And
together that
Mhm.
kept us in the first half
and
because
that's
we were down 11, I think, and
exactly
it should have been. It
and
felt like it
if
was going to be so much more.
exactly and if we were to win that game, it was going to be all on those two guys for keeping us in the game.
I think Vince Carter at halftime, he's like, I need to see more from Lonnie Walker, and he didn't even play the second half.
Yeah, well, and so to the same point of what I said about like you need to be able to adjust. Well, to that same point, you hope in a perfect world that you're getting production from your point guard and your center. But if things aren't happening that way, and you are getting production through Lonnie, well, then if he's leading the charge, well, then now it's up to KJ to
Yeah.
find his
See,
way into the game. It's Lonnie, those other guys. You know what I
and
mean?
then
Like,
I honestly think like Pop should have just pulled Primo and then just started Delani in that like in that at the third quarter. Like to me, that's like where
Lonnie,
that adjustment should have made.
Josh
I'm
Richardson.
surprised they didn't go. Let me see. The whole team played well enough to win. Well, yeah. And I would say, and like Jakob putting himself, same kind of stuff. Like his fouls. I'd have to go back and watch him, but like when I saw his fouls, at just my first reaction, it just looked like we were putting ourselves in bad positions. We're one step behind and one step late on our defense. You know what I mean? Sticking our like. Oh my god. I got home from work and I just like the thought came into my head and I just kind of yelled about it when I got home today. It was like, oh, I saw the video. You get DJ reaching like so carelessly 1 minute into the game. I'm like, DeJounte, what are you like? Can we just wait? Can we just let the game go? And then as you see what the windows look like, then you go. And this guy just that made me mad. You know what I mean? And then I think what made me even more mad was and I know I'm switching the subjects back to DeJounte is this I saw like the DeJounte Murray expresses his frustration with the referee calls, right? And he was like, I don't know if you saw the little his like IG post
The
about
refs
it or
have been
whatever.
keeping us down,
Or whatever. And it's like
down all
it's
year.
like you know what you really needed to do at that moment is what you did a month ago, which is as the role of the point guard, 7 turnovers is unacceptable. As the leader of the group, my play is unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like that's all you got to say.
Hmm.
And then congratulate the team and this and that, But so that I was frustrated about it.
And
But I'll let y'all finish, and we don't have to talk about this. We can move on to like the other teams if y'all want. But I am disappointed. Like on for the game, on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 7. You know what I mean? For the season, a 3. You know what I mean? Like I'm not very disappointed. We did a lot of great things, and
yeah,
we'll definitely dig deeper into it when we get our like season recap going once we get one in
yeah, for
on
sure.
another day.
Um, I'll go ahead and flip it to the Pelicans because they're the other team that played in that game. And it's definitely a thing of just like, I mean, what can you do whenever all three of CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas get
Yeah, and
their
they
due?
played. Yeah, they played well.
Like it's a thing of just like even like I feel like yeah our defense could have been a little bit better, but there are plenty of possessions where you're just like, man, these guys these guys did exactly what they were supposed to do on defense, and Brandon Ingram still just shot the ball over that guy's head and it went in, and you're
Yeah.
just like,
Or
what can
or
you
or
do?
or actually, now that I remember, one of them was I think a Jakob foul. It was like the guy even said they played perfect defense for 23 seconds, and then they fouled him at
Oh
the end
yeah,
or bailed him out with the
Jakob
foul.
fouled
Yeah,
Valanciunas.
exactly. So it's like you said, they were playing very well, and we still had a shot to win. So like
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I totally forget.
That's why it's the most frustrating. Is because we know that there was a
Yeah,
better Spurs team in there to be
Mm-hmm.
seen.
and lost in all that was Brandon Ingram's foul trouble too, and we did nothing. We did
Yeah,
not
we didn't.
attack him at all. He had
But at the
4. We did
at the
nothing.
same
Like we
time,
just let him run around.
when they took Brandon Ingram off the court, freaking like because the way that I see that
That's
right
when
is like
that's when
that's
Keldon
when that's
started getting some success at the rim.
a little bit of
Yeah, and
success, but that's also when CJ McCollum couldn't miss a single shot, and
no,
I
no,
was
no. That
so
that was in the
frustrated.
first half. That's why I wanted to mention because Brandon Ingram had 4 fouls in the third. I believe it was the third quarter. And if it wasn't the
I
third,
think
it might
so.
have been early into the fourth. But CJ McCollum ended with 32. Correct. He
Something
had
along the lines
five
of that.
second half points. It was Brandon Ingram that
It
was
was
carrying
still
them.
yeah, but it was
And
still a
that's
thing
why
of like
you need to attack the guy, like attack him. That's why, like, I know they switched because Brandon was going off, remember, and then they switched Devin on him.
hmm
Remember that they were talking about it during the broadcast, like, oh well, Pop's throwing him in the fire, go guard their best player. And
Yeah.
he did have like a couple of pokeaways, and he did like his length. It bothered Brandon.
yeah.
It looked like it bothered him a little bit. So like that's when at the same thing, do it at the other end too. I mean, like thinking about it now, I don't know if Brandon was guarding Devin, but whoever was Brandon Ingram was guarding, like just go at
And
him.
I will say this now it was a little frustrating because I don't like it whenever I see KJ do this, but there were definitely plays where KJ's getting hacked and they didn't call anything, and
Oh,
they
Oh
they
yeah,
for
the
they
one
sure.
they
Doris
For
replayed
Doris
it.
sure.
Burke, right? He's like, oh,
Yeah,
that was a foul, like slapped him in
yeah,
the face and that
Yeah.
and
layup, and
and so it's I'm sure it's a little discouraging to KJ like, oh, they're not gonna call fouls. I don't want to go up like that anymore because they're not calling fouls for me.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and
but when you look at when you compound that with the I'm just running aimlessly into the paint like he used to last year, and
Mm-hmm.
again just putting himself in bad positions, you're not going to get any benefit from the referees.
You're right.
That's just how it goes. When you approach it in an undisciplined way, they're not going to reward that, or they shouldn't. And I get it that sometimes they do, right, with like superstars. That's not going to happen. You
Yeah.
have to play disciplined basketball, and you
No,
know what I
yeah.
mean. Like
And
that's just how it goes.
and it was definitely just a thing of just like, yeah, I wasn't like I wasn't too happy seeing KJ the way that he was in that first half, but I could be a little bit more happy about that second half and how he adjusted. He at least adjusted.
Yeah.
And I can respect that. Like Chris said though, we'll have a lot more talk about like season recap, how we feel about like the future of these
Yeah.
guys and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff more.
and
Um,
imagine if this game would have went again a 4 minute mark. It was close. If it would have went down to the wire, pushing towards like the 2 minute, 1 minute mark, 90% of the Spurs fan base would have been pretty okay with the win. Still with with the loss. You know what I mean?
mhm,
But I think it's just because we pushed close and then we ran at it. We ran out, but like before it was really too like
mhm.
crunch time. But anyways, um,
Um,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean just to kind of move on and just talk about like the other playing games. I didn't get to watch all of that Clippers Timberwolves game. I don't know if y'all did, but I just really wanted to bring up like their whole like final celebration, and it's to me like it was funny. It was funny, but I don't understand why people get mad over winning a game, over people celebrating that they won a game, that they
Yeah.
won a game to get into the playoffs.
It
Like,
it definitely was fun. Funny to watch, you know what I mean, and a little over the top too. And I think it does go hand in hand with just kind of how the conversations we've been having about the Timberwolves for like the past like 3 or 4 episodes when we've been talking about them since we played them twice, at the end of the season or whatever. Just the way that they carry themselves as if they've gotten to a level that they're not haven't gotten to
but
yet, right? Or just
but then
and you compound that with just like I don't know, they like to complain about the fouls, but then they're like I don't know that.
so then for me it was the greatest thing ever because we'd been talking about this stuff and I've been a little quiet about it since like I mean I'm not like an Ant fan or a Cat fan, but I'm a D'Lo fan. I love D'Angelo Russell. Like he's one of my favorite players in the
Oh
NBA.
my god, I knew that was coming.
So when we talk about the Timberwolves and all that kind of stuff, I like, I don't really want to be like, hey guys, what about D'Angelo Russell and stuff like that. But it was hilarious whenever you're seeing post game interview D'Angelo Russell like, well, this ain't a big deal. We made it to the playoffs. And in the background, you got Pat
Yeah.
Bev and
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards and Cat going crazy, and you're just
Yeah,
like,
it was funny, and it was over the top. But what set me down real quick was just like tomorrow, if the Spurs win and they're celebrating, I'm not gonna have an issue with it. So who am I to
hmm
say? Who am I to
yeah,
say that
exactly.
they're
If the Spurs were celebrating like that, if we beat like in that to
I
get
mean,
into the playoffs,
if
like
KJ's jumping on a table, I might be like, KJ, come on.
yeah, but it was still just the thing. I was just like, let them have their fun because you know that they're I mean they're gonna have to try to get locked in. They're gonna have to try to get locked in. They're going to be going against one of the best teams in the West, and so it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's
You
fine.
said you didn't watch the game. It was the first half sucked. Like it was a lot like
That's what I watched, and that's when I turned it off. I was like,
yeah.
all right, I can go to bed. I can lay down.
Exactly, because
This
like
game's
they played that game exactly what I was saying about like what I didn't want to happen, right? And it's was just them going extra hard to like try to impose themselves with the officials, and I didn't want to like the Spurs somebody to do that to San Antonio, and so I was as soon as I saw that I was like, hey, what if we beat New Orleans and Minnesota? Like they've basically run out of good graces with these refs because they were pushing it so hard.
hmm
So, but they, they
which
got it
they
done.
pushed it. They
They
pushed
laid
it
into
hard
Cat
enough.
because Cat was crying all night and they didn't give a shit. They gave that
They
full foul after foul
That's
after
what
Yeah.
I was
foul.
gonna
Oh
say.
yeah. Oh
They
yeah, for
pushed
sure.
they pushed so hard that Cat got fouled out,
They pushed too far the other way. Yeah.
and I kind of hope because I mean yeah like we kind of have been talking about the Timberwolves recently just because they like yeah like it was pretty disrespectful with that game with Anthony Edwards and all that kind of stuff and all the things that the Timberwolves have been doing as well as like their fan base talking all that mess on Twitter, but for me it was always a thing of just like, well, they were a young team and I always liked Anthony Edwards and Cat. And then I was a fan of D'Lo, and I was a huge fan of D'Lo. So I was never in the sense of like, well, I want these guys to just completely fail, like right up until the chance of like, well, we could get
Yeah.
them to fail
It,
if
it's
we had
it's
the
just
chance to make
it's
them
just
fail.
frustrating to watch them because again, like I've said before, is like they have a lot of talent, but they also have a lot of immaturity.
So and that's what I was saying. That's what I was gonna say is like going into that game. I really hope. I think his name is David Finch. I think that's the coach of the Timberwolves. I really hope he like shows Cat this and is like, hey man, you got to get your act together if we're gonna
Could
win this
you
playoff.
imagine if they lost that game and he's sitting there pouting on the sideline? That would have been a disaster.
Yeah, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
like he had an atrocious game that got saved by
Yeah,
Anthony
yeah.
Edwards. So it's a thing of just like, hey man, I'm glad you guys made it to the playoffs. You got to get your act together before.
So oh,
If
go
he
ahead,
has
go
a
Josh.
bad series, like I don't want to hear nothing about this guy being
Shoot. I
big.
mean, I mean,
And he's gonna have to go against
Memphis.
them
Memphis.
boys down there.
And those boys, and that's why I tweeted. I said Memphis is gonna make Cat cry in the car for sure
Mhm.
Yeah, dude.
because
Like
they're gonna push
He's-
you, and they're
he's gonna
when you
put that boy
when
through
you
the
cry,
ringer.
they're gonna laugh at you.
I think
Yeah.
at one point I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind going to get Cat. And now like that, I've like watched him. It's like, hell no, I don't even want this guy no more.
Nah,
The self-proclaimed best big man shooter of all time.
I hope that Cat, because I like Chris has said, and it's this time and time again, but like Cat's super talented. I can see all of that talent that team has, but man, he's got to get it together. He's got to like get himself. he's got to put himself in this mature,
feel you,
more mature
dog.
stage. Because man, if he wants any any little bit of respect from the league, it's gonna be now, man. It's gonna be now. How's it going? How you doing? But I don't know. I like that's from that Wolves stuff, man. I'm just hoping for the best for them. For the Clippers, I hope the Clippers beat the Pelicans. I think the Clippers
No,
kind of
Do you think they will though?
I don't want them to beat the Pelicans. And I was thinking about this today. We were talking about it at work. Like they were like, oh, they asked me the same thing. You want the Clippers, to smash the Pels now, right? And I'm like, no, actually, like I don't want the Pelicans I don't want them to miss the playoffs. Like I want them to make the playoffs because I don't want them to have another good pick with CJ McCollum and Zion and Brandon Ingram.
I'm pretty sure
and another good pick. And I was just like,
I'm pretty
nah,
sure
dude.
they're already gonna have a good pick because the Lakers. Because the Lakers can freaking make it to the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure that's the Lakers pick.
I forget they have the Lakers pick. Dude, the Lakers are always fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
I forget that was the Anthony Davis trade, right?
It's so crazy, man. I have no idea what made
Damn it.
the
Cat
Lakers.
is soft, dude. Shout out, dude. Cat is super soft.
I have no idea what made the
my
Lakers
bad, dude. But
decide
the Lakers they're not even in the topic right now, and they're still fucking with me right now, and I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, like it's their deal.
I forget they have the pick, the Anthony Davis pick.
I saw a video not too long ago talking about like the worst takes of all time, and one of them was like Colin Cowherd, right? And he's like talking about the Lakers in 2020, right? So it's like right before the bubble still, and he's like, the Lakers aren't gonna do anything, and what is LeBron gonna do when the Lakers lose, or what are the Lakers gonna do when LeBron loses, and he destroys the team to get another star to side with him and Anthony Davis? Obviously, the Lakers won in 2020, so it didn't happen then. But then they lost the next year and traded for Russell Westbrook, and it was like. To me, I was like, man, Cowherd actually called that for once. Like, I was like, all right, shout out to Colin. Like, there you go, man. That was definitely something to hear. And it's just
But if they do pull off that Russ to Charlotte, I mean,
for what?
I think that's a fine trade.
I don't know. It'll be Rob Pelinka right that would have to pull it off. If he does, they might be okay going forward. If they could pull that off, but
no, that's not happening. That's not happening. Russell Westbrook's not going to the Pacers. But I don't know how good of a deal it is for Charlotte because I don't know how LaMelo Ball and Russell Westbrook.
The only thing I was saying was, isn't Russ Jordan brand? And maybe Jordan's just gonna be like, hell yeah, pull the plug.
Well, and
I'll pull the
they
trigger
might
on.
lose what's his name? No, Bridges.
Well,
Miles
Gordon
Bridges.
No,
Hayward.
yeah, Miles Bridges.
Gordon Hayward is hurt again. Maybe
So
he's just
so
tired of.
so
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. Like I really don't know how this trade would work for Charlotte because it's like yeah,
Maybe
like
it's
what.
Gordon. Maybe it's Gordon Hayward to match up salaries.
Well, I know
Maybe,
it's Gordon Hayward. I know it's Gordon Hayward. Like it's literally Russ for Gordon Hayward. Like that's the deal pretty much. But I'm saying like what does that do for Charlotte? Gordon Hayward's not bad. He's just not on the court too much.
him and
Now,
Anthony. Him and that. Oh, they probably need somebody for Anthony Davis to keep him company, so they could be
there you
hurt
go.
together.
No, that's not happening. Russell Westbrook has like no trade value, and
Yeah, he doesn't.
Gordon Hayward probably has more trade value than Russell Westbrook if I'm being completely honest.
I know,
Cause,
even as like injury prone as he is, it's crazy.
Cause he's at least a better fit for teams. Gordon Hayward will fit with the team, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like that'll actually work for LeBron because you get a secondary ball handler who can create but can also shoot off ball, and that's like sure that's good for LeBron. That's what you want for the Lakers. But what does that do for Charlotte? Like why would Charlotte want Russell Westbrook? You know what does
Yeah.
that do for them? So it's just like I really don't know how I could see that. And I know I'm right. I know I'm always right. But you know, somehow some way I know how to make the Lakers win. But
No, we're not trying to fix.
I
the
don't
Lakers.
want the Lakers to win.
Well, okay. So real quick, then, out of this, let's just stay on the West, I guess, for the next, whatever. But who do you think's gonna win that play in the New Orleans Clippers?
I will put my money on the Clippers. I think Paul George is the best player on that entire court, and he's probably just gonna get it done. I think Ty Lue's gonna tell Reggie Jackson to like chill out. He's gonna be like, "Hey man, if I see this stuff, you're getting pulled. You're getting pulled right away." So
Tyler don't have that in him.
I think he does.
Do
I
you,
think he
so
does.
like Josh, you would I know you said like you would prefer to have New Orleans win because of the draft or whatever.
Yeah, because of the draft deal. But I think Paul George did not have a good game, so I think he'll have a bounce back game. So
yeah.
I mean, I think the Clippers are probably going to win.
So like I was kind of thinking about it, and it's like same thing. It's like they're coming off a loss, so you want them to, or you'd expect them to play better. You'd hope that they'd play better if you're them. But also like, and he was very calm throughout that game. But then I like
He
look at
could have hit nothing.
yeah. So
He
then
just
it's like
couldn't
well,
hit it. He
it's like
couldn't hit a
well,
shot.
what if he's calm again and just doesn't really hit anything again? Or like, can they afford for him to? Does he have to be lights out for them to even have a shot? I don't know. Maybe like, can you
I
rely on Man? Can you rely on Jackson? Can you rely on what I'm saying? Like, so when I just watched New Orleans, like be able to trade off moments of Bi doing his thing, McCollum doing his thing, Valanciunas doing his thing. I don't know, man. I feel like they're coming off of a win. You know what I mean? So like, I was leaning towards the Pelicans for the game,
mhm.
for the play-in.
To answer this,
Kawhi,
it is most likely no. I doubt
I
Kawhi.
don't think so.
I doubt Kawhi ever decides that he wants to come back like like that kind of stuff. Like
well, remember, I don't know who I was watching. I don't know what I was watching, and they said like straight up like this time is around the timetable that they predicted for his injury to, for him to start playing, and we have no idea what.
What his progress has been or any
Yeah,
of that kind of
he
stuff.
he could be like like Zion. You see Zion doing 360 windmills before the game, and they're like, "Well, he's not ready." Well, goddamn, he looks ready to me.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, he could be the same way, but I think he would come back if they were like second round, like
Yeah. And,
like
I mean, and
not
that
right
and that
now.
would all the longer that the playoffs go makes it a better situation for him in some ways, like you're saying, like to have time to get ready to come back into
Mm,
postseason action, which is not regular season. You know what I mean? He
yeah,
hasn't played, or we haven't seen what
it's last
he's really
postseason,
been.
right? It was last postseason.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it's like also the further you go along, it's like, are you trying to throw him into an NBA Western Conference final? You know
no,
what I mean? It's like,
Kawhi doesn't want to throw himself into a Western Conference
yeah, or
Finals. That's
yeah, exactly. Maybe
that's
not. Yeah. So I don't. I think all signs point to no. You know
I
what I mean?
think I think the Clippers management has like stopped being so much of like a yes man to Kawhi, but it's still a thing of like they're still gonna abide by what he wants to do, and so
Yeah,
I
I mean
really,
he's got that shit by in a chokehold.
yeah, I
He's solidified
really
there.
really doubt Kawhi wants to come back for the season. I think he's not gonna come back, even if he
Yeah,
is
I
healthy.
same. I think they'll let it ride. But for the record, New Orleans.
Again, I think I believe in PG. I believe in PG to be able
Yeah,
to
I think PG too.
I think PG will have a good game. I think he will. But again, it's just like, does he have enough around him? We just saw Herb Jones have a great game. Do you think he comes fired up to take on Paul George? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but Herb Jones. I mean, well, okay, he did lock up Dejounte pretty well on multiple
I don't
possessions.
pay attention to like national coverage very much of a lot of other players, but like literally everybody was talking about wanting him on their all
All
defense like
defensive
as a
too.
rookie.
Well,
So it's
okay,
like
as
he's
a
got a
rookie, yeah, like
reputation, I
which,
guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Herb Jones is a wonderful, terrific defender. I'll say this real quick before anything.
no,
People,
Wait,
people,
what was the question?
uh, okay, I'll bring it up real quick. What would be cool if San Antonio brings back
Oh, dude,
Kawhi?
I already said yeah. You already know how I feel.
I'm indifferent.
I'm muted, Josh.
I'm indifferent. But yeah,
I'll take that boy back quick.
so I saw on Twitter somebody talking about how we should have drafted Herb Jones instead of Josh Primo. Herb Jones was a 35th pick in the draft. Every team in the league slept on Herb Jones. Nobody thought that he was going to come into the league being as good as he was. And I'm pretty sure he's like a 4-year college player too. So obviously that makes for some reason it
You don't
makes
think that's
college.
enough? You don't think that's enough to hinder one role player enough to not have, not
So
score
the
enough, not
the point
produce
is the
enough to
point
help
is
Paul George?
I think that Herb Jones is going to impact that team, but I think they're going to try to put Herb Jones on Paul George, and that's going to be a different story. That's going to be a different story. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I mean,
Maybe.
nobody on our team has the scoring ability that Paul George has. And
Yeah,
then
but also at the same time, like, just as a whole, New Orleans was able to try to give them some credit. They were able to fluster the crap out of our team for most of the game.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
And
And
so,
I know that Paul George is way more experienced than everybody on our team.
but
That's not what
that's
I'm saying.
that's what
But just like,
also that like the Clippers are just more experienced than us. The Clippers are more
yeah,
seasoned
no,
than
yes,
us.
yes, 100%. But I just, again, it's like, again, it's a one game. If you give me Clips versus Pelicans in a 7-game series, that's when I think
Clippers
I
can,
would agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah, but in a one game where they could just catch you, I could see the Clippers. I mean, we've seen the Clippers give up leads before this
Right.
year. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Anyways, for the record, New Orleans.
I don't know.
Maybe those three guys, like you said it. You said like they were all lights out against us. Their big three, as far as CJ, they might have used up that magic.
All of them. You know what I
We-
mean?
All
It's
three.
like
No, I mean
all they need is two.
not all of them, but I mean if one of those guys had an off night against us last night, then it was probably. I mean not that we would have won, but
It's a lot closer.
yeah, it's a
Well,
lot closer than it was.
so let me just we don't have to stay on this game forever, but like do the Clippers have anybody to really contest with Valanciunas, or is he putting
I
them?
just think that Zubac
Zub
is
is
to me he's the same shit as like Jakob, like maybe not defensive, but he's just a big guy that's gonna roll around the rim, catch a couple lobs, like just
I'll
like
say that
Jakob would do, and
this
he's a banger too. Like
Jonas Valanciunas for some reason makes Jakob look like a Zubac out there, where
Yeah,
he just does not
I feel
impact.
like Jakob's better than Zubac.
Yeah, better, of
Yeah.
course, but
not
Jonas
offensively.
for some reason it's just Jonas Valanciunas that makes Jakob look that bad.
Well, but I
Yeah,
mean,
because
again, but again, like
yeah,
Jonas,
and
I think
y'all talked about it, Jake. You talked about it. Oh, Jakob Poeltl was the second best defensive center or whatever. And like last night, I was gonna say that I didn't even mention that or whatever because he looked like a scrub last
Because
night. Well, Jonas made that fool look like a
he
fucking scrub.
got cooked by Jonas. He got
It was
that's
super whack.
that's one thing that I was saying.
He had the one block at the very end. I was like super hype. I'm like
Yeah.
fucking finally.
I
and
mean,
then he just scores it.
that is though a product of having the foul trouble. I mean, it
But-
changed the way that they played defense. You know what I mean? It did.
But Yak cannot like that's just the thing with our team was just like we know we rely on him so much to like help us win these type of games and stuff like that. And when he gets diminished that easily by this one player, it's like, dude, come on, man.
But again, it was like it. We've seen what the Spurs with Jakob Pertl as foul trouble, how it affects the team, and that's just a compound issue. Like it was just you know what I mean. Like we put ourselves behind the gun at 1 minute into the game. Minute into the game, we put ourselves behind the gun. So, anyways, I'm done talking about the Spurs for right now.
Me too.
Damn it.
Oh, he switched accounts.
He switched accounts. He went to the YouTube.
Yeah. Sorry, Drew. It's all good.
So, before we do talk about
my god, that boy's on both.
No, that was an older comment. I just.
Oh, that was on.
No.
I thought he was dual.
Before we do talk about playoffs, I do want to talk about the other two playing games real quick. I mean, we kind of did talk about the Charlotte and Atlanta one, and I have really nothing much to say about that one.
Yeah, there's not much to say. I'm glad that we didn't look like that.
I'm glad we didn't look like that.
Same. And what you said about somebody's perception changing after you saw them. What did you say, Josh? It was a player that you saw, and you're like, I didn't see them the same way anymore. Cat, exactly. I kind of would thought about. I was very. And I know he apologized already, but seeing seeing how Bridges reacted to the foul, to the thing again, because it was.
Hey, I saw a tweet
because he got sucked up in the moment, and you could see it from the moment he ran up on the ref, and then same thing, him swinging and hitting the guy. I was like,
no, he threw his mouthpiece and it hit a girl in the head.
Yeah, I saw, and the guy looked silly, right? The guy was like, me, what? Like he looked silly, but when
you teed him up to, he's up.
Yeah, but when you look at it, and the guy in Bridges even said like I was aiming at the guy who was like yelling at me, but like it looked more like he was just trying to like get on camera, like he was like looking that way. I don't know. He probably was leaning in on the guy's space and all that, but anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Charlotte had the score for the play-in. Like in their locker room all year, like because they got smashed in the play.
Oh
last year.
Yeah.
They had it all year.
It happened twice.
Get to the play,
and so
get smashed again.
So for me, that's like, I tweeted it out because it was very, very unfortunate that I saw Miles Bridges do that. Like I was just like, man, like I hate to see that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah.
But to me, it was more of a, you could tell his heart was in the game. You could tell that guy was putting in that effort, and it just wasn't clicking.
He got frustrated.
It just wasn't clicking for him. It just like it's literally just one of those things where you just so mad that you just cannot get like the things that you want in this.
Yeah, and
game.
Atlanta felt mad comfortable at home. Mm-hmm. They didn't fret much.
Like like you're saying, like how everybody's been saying about how like Charlotte lost the way that like you don't want to lose. Miles Bridges didn't do that. Miles Bridges was putting in that effort to be, as productive, as good as he could be. It just was not going down at all, and it just gave him that much frustration that at the end of the game he does what he did. And
every time I'm frustrated, I throw my mouthpiece at little girls' heads too.
When you're coaching, you throw your mouthpiece out.
I'm not excusing
when I'm coaching my little son soccer. I throw my mouthpiece at their little heads.
I'm not excusing any of the stuff that happened, but it was just to me it was disappointing, and it was just a thing of like, well, I do think Miles Bridges can be very, very solid, and he just had his rough night that like he had to end the season on,
Yeah.
I think the Hornets are going to pay him, by the way. Chris had put that comment. I think the Hornets are going to pay him, and if they don't, San Antonio should definitely look into Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
Because that is some stock that I think like that's where we get our vertical spacing. That's where we get some 3-point shooting. It's where we get our size at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect player that I would love to put on this team if we don't get our 4 in the draft. But either way, we don't have to really talk about San Antonio too much.
Yeah, but like the Atlanta game, it was pretty straight down the middle.
So the other game, I just want to talk about how crazy Kyrie Irving is, because that guy is like one of the best players for some reason when it comes to the playoffs. He just understands that when he needs to win a ball game, he will win a ball game. I was
Yeah,
watching him.
it was nuts to watch him not miss
That's
for.
what I was about to say. When I saw him just taking anything and every look that he wanted, and it was just going in, I was like, this is a guy that's fasting. This is the guy that's like not like eating anything, not drinking any water. Like,
Hey,
what?
when does that end? Because I was thinking about that too. I'm like, can he do that in a 7 game series?
You
Like,
well, but has this never been an issue before, or a
yeah,
thing
but
that
I
he's
think
done
it was
before?
it.
Is he converted recently or something, or because
I'm not too sure.
it would
Honestly.
happen
Well,
at
he
because
was.
like if he's fasting for Ramadan, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Like, doesn't it happen at the same time every year? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but did he play in the bubble?
no,
Because wasn't that different dates
he
But
didn't play
what?
in the bubble.
Yeah, but what about like 2 years
last
ago,
year?
3 years
Yeah.
ago, 4 years ago?
No,
He-
he didn't. He just like convert like whenever he was in
That's
Boston. Remember,
that's
like
what I was
whenever he
asking.
started.
Is it
Like I don't think like the Cleveland days. I don't think he was about that business and
He hasn't
yeah,
really gotten far in the playoffs
since Cleveland.
since Cleveland.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because he was injured in Boston.
yeah.
He was injured in Boston when they made it to the conference finals, and then I think they were a second round out the second year, and he left, and now wasn't playing with Brooklyn in the bubble. Then
But I'm just saying that I've never like as far as a superstar. I think the last person that I remember, I don't know who was fasting. I don't know, like because he has a lot of like he's what I mean he has the ball in his hand.
hmm
Like that's a lot of
well,
energy
it and
to
and
be running
and
off of nothing.
it's definitely a thing for me where I'm like, yeah, I'd definitely be scared if I was Boston, but I'm also pretty confident in what Boston can do going into the playoffs for them too.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, I think we were talking the other day, right, about like, well, if it takes Tony Parker's talking about like if it takes Kyrie getting 50 for us to lose, we're in an okay spot. Like, they didn't play very well. Brooklyn did not play very well. It was obvious that
Did you not
Cleveland was
see the
playing.
rebounding machine in Patty Mills?
It was. It was obvious to see that Cleveland was like trying to play with the best that they could, and it was a lot like the cat game, the Minnesota game. Like, they have a lot of talent, but they weren't playing well, but they still ended up with getting the win, kind of thing. Um, I don't know. I feel like Boston's gonna be tough, man.
I will say, I mean, when you have Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Jalen Brown to like kind of have like some type of rotation on
Yeah.
defense for Kyrie Irving, and then for your forwards you have Jason Tatum, somewhat Grant Williams for size at least.
And those guys aren't gonna take as long as like Darius Garland has been very like kind of fearless most of the year, right? And he looked like he looked flustered at the beginning. It took him a while.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
Boston
know if Tatum's gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Boston should technically be
Nope.
seasoned. They should be seasoned right now.
If I'm picking, because I don't care who San Antonio's out. I really don't care who wins. Like the Lakers aren't gonna win, so now I really
Well,
don't care who wins.
if you're gonna get into playoff predictions, let's hold that
I,
off.
I'm just saying for this Boston, yeah, Boston. Like
Well, let's let's
I'm just the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it's gonna be Patty versus Derek. Like I'm riding Patty all day. I'm picking
okay.
Patty over Derek. Like
Well,
as far as
we
like my
can
favorite
we
Spur
can
over the
we
last.
can talk we can talk about it a little bit more because the last thing that I want to do before we go into playoffs is just that last playing game, which is just Cleveland and Atlanta. We didn't really talk like Chris just brought up Cleveland when we were talking about that Brooklyn Cleveland game. So it's a thing for me where like I would probably still put my money on Atlanta to win
Mm-hmm.
because Jared Allen's not going to come back healthy. Even if he is going to play, I don't see.
Yeah, but Atlanta doesn't have well, I didn't, and I don't even know why he's hurt. I didn't hear it or I didn't look at it. Why John Collins wasn't playing?
I looked it up. The other day. It was shoot. Well, I'm just gonna do it
All
again.
right. Well, before you find that, I will say that right now their very great substitute is DeAndre Hunter, because that dude kind of killed it in the game, and we
Yeah,
didn't
it was
even talk
just
about it.
a third quarter.
But he was
He
still
he had a
The
good
IR
third
just
quarter.
says a finger and a foot injury for John Collins.
He had a good third quarter, and I think that if John Collins is out, who is it? Clint? It would just be Clint down there by himself.
Clint Capella.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you got Clint. They have this like this young guy and like I forgot his name, Onyeku Okongwu.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just thinking like Jared Allen might not be healthy, but still, Jared Allen and Mobley like down there together. Like
yeah, I mean
that's a
it's
lot
a
of size, dude.
it
For Clint Capella without John Collins being there.
it is a lot of size, but I mean, even with Charlotte having obviously not as much size, but
Yeah, they don't.
with Charlotte having a little bit of size in that little front court, Clint Capella was playing like a beast, and it was like a thing of just like if he just
Yeah.
carries that momentum into Cleveland, then you can still see him being able to produce and still be able to kind of hold down the line for Atlanta.
His finger.
Because I think
Yeah.
I
Jared Allen is his finger too.
and I also don't think Trae Young's gonna start a game the way that he did against Charlotte. Like he'll be a little bit better. He'll be able to knock down his shot a little bit better. He'll be going against Darius Garland, who's also just as tiny as he is. So it's just like a thing of like, yeah, I mean, if he gets better looks and he starts getting the ball rolling, they'll have to be running out on Trae, which also means that they can't be running like a Laurie, Evan, Jarrett lineup against Trae Young, because Trae Young is just gonna run around those guys the entire time, you know. And so it's just like, yeah, if they try to go too big, I think Trae Young will be able to kind of pick apart that defense. That was the thing that I also kind of saw was like Lauri Markkanen not being as good as the Cleveland wanted him to, you know. He
Markkinen, he looked just like the first game when he went back to play Chicago, and they just like disrespected him, and they were blocking all his stuff targeting him and just running at him, and that's what it looked like last night too, or whenever they played.
And it was just like, yeah, man, if Lauri Markkanen's on that floor and I'm Trae Young, I'll be like, yo, pick and roll, whoever's got Lauri Markkanen, come here. You know what I mean? Like, let me get this guy on me right now, and I'll cook him. So, my money's on Atlanta.
I like Laurie.
I would say for sure Atlanta too over Cleveland. Yeah.
I like Lauri too. Now again, and again, like I said before, if Cleveland's fully healthy, honestly, they wouldn't even be in the play-in. They would be in the playoffs right now. Like we wouldn't.
Yeah,
we
they were.
wouldn't be
Yeah,
seeing
they
them-
were. Yeah.
We wouldn't be seeing them trying to fight for this spot. But if they're fully healthy, then I think they would be able to beat.
I'm gonna
Atlanta.
say Cleveland. I hate Trae Young's hair. That's
He
my
said, "I like
opinion.
Jared Allen's hair more than Trey's hair, so I'm gonna pick him."
The
That's
Fro.
right. I already told you how I feel about all these games. Like, I don't care who wins. I just want some good basketball.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
As basketball fans, I don't.
Yeah, I hope
care.
every game goes into overtime. That's how I feel with like going forward. If I could just get freaking 5 quarters a game, I'll be straight.
I mean, as long as I'm just seeing some entertaining basketball, then I'm like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
But, Chris, what are the first round matchups that aren't the 1 and 8 seed? Because we can't really talk about that right now.
Well, if I were to be honest, I would say that the 1 seeds are beating any of the teams coming into the 8th spot.
Yes.
But
well, Atlanta against Miami. Atlanta against Miami. Right?
you're gonna bet against. Let's start there. you're gonna bet against Miami if it's Atlanta.
Are we gonna do the whole playoffs?
We don't. We don't have to take forever.
We don't have
but
to do yeah. Oh, real quick, Juan said Cavs winning, so that's cool.
Because
That's
of
cool.
Trae Young's funky ass hair.
Appreciate that, Adonis. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, no, I'm not betting against Miami.
yeah, I would say Miami beats.
I think Atlanta does put up a better fight than what like a Clippers or Pelicans do against Phoenix, and that's just because I think like Miami isn't as good as like as good as like maybe it's honestly like 2, 3, and 4 on the East side, but they're still just the first seed. Um, and it's still just a thing of just like, yeah, I think Miami still gets to pull it out against Atlanta.
I hope they lose just because you said that.
Jimmy and Bam, and pretty much clear winner, 6 man of the year, Tyler Hero is going to be in this playoffs. So it would be a safe bet to bet on the likes of Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero than it is to bet on Trae
Yeah,
Young.
and again, like still, you're gonna be without Collins for at least a game. You know what I mean? Probably at the very if you're projecting forward at all, and I don't know. When I looked at the IR, it doesn't have any timetable or whatever. But
Yeah, I think so.
but I'll say like you're not gonna have Collins. I'm not very high on Atlanta in the sense of I guess what I'm trying to say is like not too high on them making the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Like that doesn't really move the needle for me in terms of how far could they go this year. You know what I mean? Because really, I just like I think that wholeheartedly like Philly just choked so bad against Atlanta last year. Like they had no chance or no reason losing to Atlanta last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that being said, I don't think that Miami would do that. And you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
not, and I don't, we don't, we won't go into like round two probably today. We'll probably just stick on round one, but Miami has enough to get past the 8th seed, you know
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, and I will say this: Jimmy does still have to pick it up. Like his production still isn't nearly as good as you need it to be in order for them to make a deep playoff run. Which is why I haven't like really brought him up too much and been like dark horse, all that kind of stuff. Like I don't see them nearly as powerful as I did like in the bubble. Whenever we talked about it, that way back when.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like that's like my main thing is that like Jimmy just has not been the Jimmy Butler of old. So it's just like like if he's not being the Jimmy Butler that you need him to be, like the Philly Jimmy or even Timberwolves Jimmy, like both those Jimmys were really good. And if he's not that type of player, then I don't see Miami really doing too much in terms of these playoffs this year.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
do see them still being able to knock out Atlanta in the first round.
yeah. All right, well then let's go to the one that's
No,
let's go to the one that's
no,
what did he
he's
say?
not a bubble fraud. He is not a bubble fraud.
That whole like now that you talk about it, like that whole team is
Jimmy Butler was still Jimmy Butler from like 2018 to that
you
2020
didn't even
season.
mention you just said Jimmy needs to get back to Timberwolves and
Philly.
and Philly. You didn't even say the
2018
Miami.
Butler.
Yeah, you didn't even mention that Jimmy. So
Well,
you're saying that he hasn't.
that's what I'm saying is like I mean, obviously, time is a thing that will kick everybody's butt. So I get that I get that he was able to get like that boost from having that whole offseason off, but Jimmy Butler was still like he was a year removed from Philly. Like, do you not remember how good Jimmy Butler was in Philly? Like that team in
Not good enough
2019.
to win.
Oh, bro, he lost on a game winner from Kawhi Leonard, and it was like a thing of just like, yeah, man, of course, and it's still he was still part of like that dysfunctional Philly team at that time. Like he literally went from dysfunctional Timberwolves to dysfunctional Philly, and it was just like, yeah, man, like he was so good in those years, and then it still happened in Miami that first year, but these last 2 years
You know
he's
that
kind of fallen
picture.
off.
You know that picture of Jimmy when he's like exhausted at the
Yeah.
little like that was the last of his good years just dying right there on that.
And I mean, if that's the case, that's the case. Like I can't disagree with you there. Like Jimmy hasn't been as good since then. So it's like, all right, yeah, but that doesn't make him a bubble fraud because he was putting up those
Yeah.
crazy clutch numbers before the bubble. So no, it's not a bubble fraud, Juan. Not a bubble fraud. I gotta defend my man Jimmy.
The team. He could have been talking about the team.
The team could have been somewhat bubble fried. I
All
mean,
right.
Bam, Tyler Hero just needed to grow, and obviously now he's back to being as pretty freaking good. But I think
They're bubble
think
frauds
that
too.
I think that if you're gonna call a team bubble frauds, it's the Lakers. It's
It
the
was both of them.
Lakers.
That whole playoff should not even count.
That Lakers team were bubble frauds. That's what I will say.
All right, well let's move on to that 2-7. That's the I know Josh already spoiled his allegiance to Patty Mills, but that 2-7.
Oh
Are
yeah.
we all are me and Jake saying Boston and then Josh is going with Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm rocking with Patty. If I'm picking a I'm just gonna pick X Spurs because I'm rocking with Patty. But like as good as Jason Tatum and as good as Jalen Brown is, I don't think you're stopping like Kevin and Kyrie. Like you know how we
You
talked
also
about it.
got Derek White. You also got what I don't know if it's
Yeah,
official, but defensive player of the year,
there,
hopeful Marcus Smart.
even then, like
Defensive player of the year
I
candidate, right?
yeah that's
That's four good defenders.
like I said, I've looked at the Boston Twitter, like if you want to say like Boston Twitter, and they say the same thing about like if Derek's gonna go play great defense but still give you is gonna shoot 2 for 12, then that's just gonna cancel out. They're playing 4 on whatever because that's all that they're talking about with Derek White too, like that his shooting. And I'm not saying he could freaking break out. He could have a Nugget series against them, but I'm still gonna rock with.
Well,
But also, I mean,
Rock with
he's their third option, I would imagine, right?
he's like more like a fourth option,
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
he's like he's way back there. I
exactly.
know,
So it's
but
like
he's doing. I mean, he did that. He was shooting like that as the second option,
I
and now
know,
he's
but
still shooting like that as the fourth
I
option.
know, but it means like when you're saying about like how it balances out in the negative and the positive. When it comes to us, you would say so. Like even though he would defend really well, it would still balance out with the negatives because we needed him to be a second producer, and he couldn't really get to that spot. Whereas now, if he gives you really good defense, but he doesn't shoot as much, the defense still would probably outweigh his bad shooting because he's not high up on their on their arsenal or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, man. I mean, and they have won like crazy amount of games
yeah,
since
yeah,
since
exactly.
since the
yeah.
trade.
I
I'm not
mean,
saying
they're
that
they're the
Derek
sec-
White's
they're the
going to be
second they're the second
their
best team in the East. You know what I
downfall, but
mean?
I'm just
To
saying
me,
like
um, the only thing that makes me skeptical on like if like the Celtics really have it in the bag, it's the fact that Robert Williams got hurt.
Yeah, right.
It's literally just the fact that he's not in there right now, and
Hmm.
it's like, I mean, Daniel Tice is like fine, and Al Horford's old, but like if they had Robert Williams, then I'm telling you, oh yeah, 5 Celtics in 5, or maybe 6 because KD and Kyrie are just that good, right?
Yeah.
But like right now, I'm like a little bit more skeptical about like, all right, well, because they don't have that interior
wait, what?
presence,
Wait,
because
we talked about Ben Simmons. They just announced today that
That
game
that
four
he's aiming for
for
a
game
return
4.
during
Yeah,
round one. Well, but and speaking of like Robert Williams too, or speaking of Boston Twitter, um, I was reading. I think it was Keith, right, who reports for Boston, and I forgot his last name.
Keith Smith.
There you go. Was basically giving his opinion, right, about how they're being really vague about Williams' whatever, and how one could read it as them being coy about it in the way of like that he's further along in their plans to bring him back than they're kind of letting on. So I mean, who knows? If they're if how they're all kind of navigating those injuries, like you said.
and
Um,
I think that Ben Simmons is ready to go.
if Ben Simmons comes
I
back, that's
think
different.
I think
That's way
I
different.
think he's ready
Yeah.
to go. Like I mean, obviously we haven't seen him do 5-on-5, but they said right that he's doing 5-on-5s, and then they showed the videos of him, practicing and getting his run in. So like I think he's, how Steve Nash was like, no, after they said Ben Simmons is going to come back in the playoffs, and then Steve Nash was like, no, who said that? That's stupid. I think they're being coy about it. Like
Maybe.
that's
I would. Same thing like
yeah,
you said about
because that
Kawhi,
was
about like not knowing how far along he is.
yeah,
Like
that was
I
just
would keep
last
all
week.
that.
Steve Nash was like, "No, he's not. We don't have no timetable. Blah 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 blah."
What's up, Uncle
And
Ryan?
and then today it comes out that he's gonna play Game 4. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they
It
know
would
where he is and they know when he's coming back.
it
Yeah,
would
yeah, for
be
sure.
it would be interesting to see
And he's
Ben
gonna be
Simmons.
fresh. He's gonna be super fresh. That guy's had like a 5-year vacation.
It would
Derek White's
be
gonna take a charge on him, and then he's gonna shatter that man's dreams,
it
his spirit,
would
break his spirit.
I don't know how I would feel if Ben Simmons does come back, because that's the one thing it just like, yeah, we haven't seen him play. Obviously, he's good. I'm not telling you that he's not good, but like, what does he do to that offense? Because they probably want to start him.
The one thing, yeah, the one thing I like that benefits that is that Ben Simmons is not a he gets people involved. So he doesn't. I don't even think he has to score. Like, he could come back and
Yeah,
probably have
but
5 points, but I
it's a
think he
thing.
could make enough plays
It's a thing
for.
of just like, I mean, yeah, when you're a guy like Ben Simmons, you want to know the system though. You want to be integrated and like have that system like
Yeah, but he has been there. It's not like he hasn't been there. He's been there in every practice. He
yeah,
just
but
doesn't have the
who
game.
says it's still it's just a thing of just like, I mean, when you put it into a game, like you see mistakes happen like that all the time. So
Yeah,
it's just like,
that is true. But he's like he's not just he's an all NBA like talent. Like he's not dummy. He's not
yeah, I don't
a
think
role
he's
player.
dumb. I don't think he's
And
dumb.
you see what can happen with guys that those glue guys because Jay Rich was with us for a game or
See, so
so,
that's what I'm saying though. That's
and
what I'm
he was
saying though.
like,
That's what I'm
he's
saying
got
though.
it.
Is because Josh Richardson's role with us is a lot easier to adapt to and
Yeah,
to fit into.
but again, you're not bringing him in to be the number one option, the number two option. You're bringing him in to be at most the number three option.
Yeah,
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And so it's like you don't bring him in with any mad expectations other than just get the ball and move it around and find. We have superstars. We're loaded at the. You know what I'm saying? It's like
hmm
his responsibility would be so freaking small, and that's the
that's the
dr- that's
perfect
the
situation for
that's the
him
draw of
because
having a super team to have high level talent with less responsibilities. And then from my point of view, that's what makes me like, if they get Ben Simmons back, I don't have any reason to watch Brooklyn play basketball. I don't need to watch it. Like, I don't care about it. You know what I mean? Because again, it's like, I want to see Kevin Durant do the unthinkable, you know what I mean, and climb these big hurdles, and that's what gives you respect and drive for these competitors. I don't want to see Kevin Durant standing in the corner because he's got two other all-world ball handlers, and then you kick it out to him, the third option. Now let me just take off the dribble and make a three in the last 5 seconds. Like, I don't need that.
well,
I will.
they like
Go ahead, Josh.
I think that he's like y'all were talking about the defenders like if they do start Ben Simmons and they throw his ass at the post, he's gonna eat. He's just gonna eat down there. I
yeah,
think
yeah. I
he's a power forward. If they play him as a power forward and they just let Kyrie like, I think that's the perfect situation. Remember, I think we talked about this before. Whenever we were talking about like there was the rumors for Ben Simmons coming to San Antonio way back when, and
Yeah,
I was like, hell yeah, I would take Ben. I did not want to trade Dejounte, but like I was like I would trade like if we were to get Ben, I wouldn't even want him as my point guard. I would want him as my four and have him play the Draymond role because
yeah,
I think he's perfect in that. Like, don't Draymond's the same way. Don't shoot no damn
yeah.
threes. I mean,
Exactly. So,
every now and then Draymond takes him, but
yeah.
Ben hasn't. But if you put Ben Simmons in that power forward role, that guy's he could eat anybody alive. I think he's too damn big. He's too damn fast for traditional power forwards, and he could his vision like
Yeah, his instincts.
yeah he's like Jokic. If you were to put you see how the passes that Jokic makes out of the low post, Ben
well,
Simmons is going to make all those passes.
that's that's a great comparison, because if they're playing against the Celtics and they play Ben Simmons against and they're playing Ben Simmons like that, and you're comparing Ben to Jokic, we already know who the Jokic stopper is, who the Joker stopper is. It's Batman. It's Grant Williams. We already talked about this, man. We already had this conversation on or well, we didn't have this conversation, but like like there's so much stuff about when Grant Williams locked up Jokic. I don't know if y'all remember that game.
But Jokic, even Jokic, I think it's different. Like he would still have to stop that fool in the open court. Jokic is just hobbling
Right,
down the court.
right.
Ben
No,
Simmons will be fucking flying down that court.
in transition,
Yeah.
he said hobbling.
Yeah, like you see
Transition,
Jokic run.
I don't think that's happening. But in a half court setting, like to be honest, yeah, like Grant Williams was able to play that role of like stopping this pass first big, and play that defense well. And
Yeah.
I'm making the joke, all that kind of stuff. Grant Williams called himself Batman because Jokic, the Joker, and I was
Yeah,
just
that
like,
makes sense.
it was just like, man.
I mean, to be honest though, I think if they get Ben Simmons though, that is where you put him because you're not gonna park him on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a good. That's a good. I mean,
And I think that makes his life. You know how you were saying the scheme or whatever. I think that makes it even easier. Hey,
way
go
easier.
go hang around the rim because we're gonna get you the ball and you're gonna in good positions against
Yeah.
smaller people because they're
Or
gonna have to
or
switch.
or you're gonna have a guy who just got broke down by Kyrie Irving, and now you just got to clean up, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah,
No.
it'll be easy. I'll
Well,
say for the record though, if Ben doesn't come back, I'm gonna put my money on Boston.
Yeah, if Ben doesn't come back, it's still on Boston. If he does come back, it's a lot more up in the air. But who knows? Maybe Ben comes back and it's 3-1. Then I'm still probably gonna say Boston, because if like I'm not gonna give Brooklyn that chance to be like, I wouldn't, if I'm Boston, I'd try to like capitalize on that. You know what I mean? Even if they try
Yeah.
to bring him in on that last game.
I just don't think Brooklyn has very good defense.
yeah, they don't.
And you got a guy like Tate. Like I think Tatum's gonna be too. I think Boston's gonna be too like focused on attacking their weaknesses, whereas a team like Cleveland just couldn't do it.
Yeah. So then what's the next matchup?
In the Eastern Conference, the 3-6 is Milwaukee Chicago. I don't think many people are giving Chicago a shot at that one.
It's Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's gonna
Considering-
sweep them fools.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
think
said-
on my bracket that I did earlier, I said Milwaukee in 5.
Milwaukee's gonna sweep them fools.
Like you said, we're only gonna talk about round one, but those are my favorites. Those are my favorites to go out of the East. So
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
I mean, to be
Who's your
honest,
favorite, Joel?
we can
Milwaukee.
let's
Oh,
get
I
through
thought-
round. Let's get through round. I don't think it'll take long to get through 2 and 3. To be honest, it gets shorter and shorter. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like they're still since we're still just talking round one. Like Chicago is still without Lonzo.
something like that.
So they finally got DeMar. They finally got Caruso back, I think, and then they're still without their, or they got who's their other big? Were they out without a big for a second?
I know they just got Patrick Williams back. Who's
Yeah.
that
Okay. So it was
he's a young forward. A
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. I mean, they're not 100%. Their best basketball of the year was at the beginning of the year or the first half, whatever you want to call it. So they're just not trending in the right. I hate it because it's like the whole thing about DeMar and blah blah
Yeah,
blah
I
blah blah. blah. So I hate it.
I want to see 4 straight 40-point games from DeMar, and then get
I don't
swept.
even.
That's what I want to see. That's the outcome that I want. I want
root for-
DeMar to be efficient. I want him to like cook that Milwaukee defense, but Chicago still get like swept. That's what I want to see.
I don't want to be ugly towards DeMar, but I think this is exactly why we didn't re-sign him. Like, I think it's going to show again. Like, he just has bad luck. He just has bad luck. I think he's gonna go over there. I think they're gonna get swept, and it's gonna be another first round exit for DeMar DeRozan. Like,
I mean, it's Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, not Valanciunas. Sorry, Vucevic.
But we've seen their record versus like they cannot beat.
Good teams.
The only thing that they're doing.
I've seen
the
Spurs.
teams.
I've seen the Spurs go on deep runs, with records against good teams being very bad. You guys keep going. I'm gonna mute my mic for a second.
I just think that there's no way in hell.
I don't see Chicago winning at all.
I don't even think who on that team is guarding Giannis. They have
No one.
shoot.
No one.
Nobody.
They have a baby in Patrick Williams. You know what they call Patrick Williams? They call him the Paw because he's baby Kawhi Leonard. So it's like, I mean, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. that's not enough to stop Giannis. That's not enough to stop Giannis. Vucevic is not as that. He's not that good of an interior defensive big like that. Definitely not one good enough to stop Giannis like that. And I mean, I see this completely
Giannis
going.
might average 30 this series.
Like I completely see like the crazy thing is the fact that these guys won the finals. And it still feels like they are being underlooked. Like to me,
Yeah.
I mean in the West, everybody will pretty much just talk about Phoenix. You know what I mean? Like they're just saying like Phoenix will go out of the West just like that. But people are not necessarily talking about the Bucks like that, and I'm like, guys, why? They're literally the champs. They literally did not change their team at all, and they still look just as good. And I'm pretty sure isn't George Hill back? Isn't George Hill back in Milwaukee?
Yeah, he's back.
So that's good. That makes me really want to see Milwaukee win, because I want George to finally get his ring. But I mean, yeah, like there's really not much that I can really say other than I just don't want to see DeMar kind of fold. Because if he folds, I'll be sad. I'll be sad because I'll see everybody be like, DeMar the Frozen, DeMar the Choke, and all that kind of stuff, and that won't be fun. Real quick.
Yeah, because then it'll be back to back because he choked in the. Was it last year against Memphis?
Yeah, he had a pretty rough game against Memphis in the play-in. So
If he has back to back playoff woes, it's not good, my friend.
Who's that?
DeMar.
Tomorrow.
Oh.
We're talking about last year's play-in game with San Antonio. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for them, and I'm sorry I didn't yeah, I don't want to re-say anything that you guys just said. I do feel bad for them though, just because they had a good year. They were doing things. Then they get hit with the Williams trade, or their forward goes down. Then they lose Caruso. Then they lose Lonzo Ball. Like it was you know what I mean? Like their momentum was definitely stopped. You know, and much like as much as you guys were saying like about how he played against the play-in last year, we felt justifiably that our momentum was stopped. You know what I mean? In that, so like I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for them too. I enjoyed watching them
I
play,
think that
especially
that
when
the
they were on the
momentum
roll.
against us hit our record more than I think that just hit our record. That he just had a
I mean,
game.
it did hurt their record. They were like in the top 3 in the East, and now they're in the 6th seed. Like it did
That's
hurt
because
their
they
record.
finally started playing people. That's why.
It's definitely just a thing of like yeah. I mean, it has been seen for years that DeMar just doesn't come up in the playoffs.
Yeah. And you know why I also feel bad is because like, okay, let's say it was like Chicago versus Miami. Now all of a sudden I'm like pulling for Chicago, right? I'm like, heck yeah, let's try to see DeMar overcome a team like Miami. But when it's Milwaukee, not only is it like realistically you don't think they can beat them, but it's like I don't mind seeing Milwaukee win at all. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's just one of those things.
Exactly. So I think we're all pretty much in agreement that Milwaukee's gonna go to the finals, but we'll talk about it a little bit later.
All right, well, let's move to this next one. This is the 4-5. This one I had to stare at this for a while. This is Philly versus Toronto.
Excited for this one.
Philly's at home. Philly's at home.
It's Philly's winning that series. Toronto might get swept too. I think who said this? Shaq, is it Shaq or Chuck said the same thing. They're like Toronto's getting swept. Write it down, and Ernie wrote it down on the notepad. Like I think the same thing. I was like, nah, Toronto.
I know what you're talking about. It was
you know how when they do their bold predictions and they write them down on the.
Chuck made a bold prediction, and I remember seeing Ernie write it down. But
I can't remember if I kind of want to say this is Shaq because he turned. He's like write it down.
Oh, maybe it was Shaq. I don't know.
Yeah, Shaq like turned. Yeah, and he's like write it down. I think they're gonna get swept too.
Well, no. No.
Wait. Before you say anything, whose jersey do you have on?
Okay, now that's what I was gonna say. Right. So obviously I got my Joel.
Do you see this, Drew? I don't know if you're watching. You see what I deal with. See, I'm a Spurs fan, and I have nothing but Spurs jerseys. Drew's a Lakers fan. I doubt he has any other jerseys like this.
Hey, Jake,
It's borderline disrespectful.
Josh got mad. Josh got mad at me when we were in high school because I bought a Kevin Garnett Celtics jersey.
Oh no, not Kevin Garnett. Come
Yo,
on, man.
it was literally like Kevin Garnett was in the Western Conference going against the Spurs for so long. He finally moved to the East. Green's my favorite color. I was like, I'm buying a Kevin Garnett jersey. I don't care.
Nah, man, not
That
Kevin
is ridiculous.
Garnett. Of all people, Kevin
And they
Garnett.
went. And in 2008, when they went against the Lakers, I was rooting for them so hard to smack on the
Okay,
Lakers, and they
yeah,
did smack on the Lakers, and it felt awesome. So I bought that jersey.
yeah. I mean, it's a little pass, I guess. I don't know. To me, I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about Kevin Garnett in that sense, but to me, I would like put Kevin Garnett in the same light as like James Harden. Like I don't like these guys because they're my opponents in this manner, and
No,
I will never watch James
you
Harden.
no James Harden. James Harden plays.
Wait, you said
James
you say he
the
put
way
him
they
there.
the way they
What?
play, the respect that they would garner from other people, and like what you would hear about is
Okay,
not the same.
that's understandable. I understand that Kevin Garnett's a highly respected player.
No.
Um,
I want to hear what you like. Say it again. Maybe I don't understand.
like I'm putting it in the same light of just like they're my opponent. Like I would never really like cheer for James Harden ever.
But you told me that you got really into basketball in 2013,
2013, 2014.
2013, 2014. So you didn't see Kevin Garnett at all. So why is he on your shit list?
He wouldn't be like he's not on mine, but I'm saying I'd assume he'd be on yours because
Oh,
that's
you're
how I would.
okay. That he would be on
That's how I
ours. I
would.
Uh,
thought,
Yeah,
it's more of
because I'm not.
a thing. It's more of a thing of like I'll tell you I had negative things to say and think about Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal when I was growing up and I'm watching them play against the Spurs and the Lakers.
Yeah.
As an older man and as and all that kind of stuff, you just see it differently, right? It's the exact same thing with like a
Hmm.
Kevin Garnett. When he moved to the East, it was distance between, you know what I'm saying?
It's just a thing for me too of just like because the way that I also say it right whenever I try to put it in the same light is like well yeah the reason why I say James Harden out of everybody well one division rival and you're like playing against him 4 times a year but two you're having people compare him and Kawhi because these guys are two MVPs in the league and trying to see who the best player of the league is and while everybody's telling you it's LeBron you still have people trying to say well what about James Harden what about Kawhi what about the blah 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 right so in that manner, that's why I'm like, well, that's why I don't like James Harden because people tried to say that he was better than Kawhi
I
when
don't like
Kawhi was
James
a Spur.
Harden because he's a bitch.
yeah, that's how.
Of course,
That's
of
exactly how I
course,
feel.
of course. But so I'm just saying, like, in to compare, that's how I felt in with James Harden and Kawhi, and I would think that that's how y'all would feel with Kevin Garnett and Timmy, because I'm sure the talk around the league was, is
No,
Kevin
they
Garnett better than
battled.
Timmy?
Like, yeah, but you could respect. Yeah, and but you respect that.
It's
Like,
it's closer to like in the heat of the Warriors the peak how you would feel about a Draymond Green. He's gonna battle you and he's also gonna talk a lot of shit
yeah, he
and
talked. Kevin Garnett talked a lot of shit, and he backed up like all the
He did
shit that
back
he
up.
talked.
Yeah, no,
Like,
and that's I mean, again, for me, I'm not telling you guys that I'm like, I don't understand what Kevin Garnett brings cuz like, yeah, like I've definitely like I guess like watched the videos, read the stories, all
yeah
that kind of stuff to see that. And it was
yeah
the same thing while it's a kind of like a different case, like I at least like I get it with like Dirk, you know what I mean? Cuz at least I saw a little bit of us against Dirk. So I was able to kind of gain that like respect of like, well, these are just two
yeah
older guys that
but
like,
if you would have watched '06, if you would have watched 2000 and you know what I'm saying, like if you would
hmm
have watched those years, there would have been
you,
years, multiple years where you would have been very against Dirk Nowitzki. You know what I mean?
I hated
Still
Dirk. I
got to
fucking
the point
hated
where
Dirk.
you just said about 11 and 12 and 13. But if you would have seen it then, and that's what KG was during
hmm
that era.
okay, no, I get that then. I get that then.
I still haven't forgive. I love Manu, but I haven't forgive him for fouling Dirk. Like,
Drew said this. Drew, this jersey was like I think like maybe $15, $20 at like an outlet store, and it was like the real deal. So I was like, I'm gonna get this jersey because it was cheap. So that's the reason why I
yeah,
have this jersey.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I have this jersey.
Well, okay. So do you agree that Like, are you were trying to say that you don't think Toronto's going to get swept? Do you still think they just ultimately lose though?
I would say if there's going to be a 7-game series between any of the teams going against each other, it is going to be this series. Which, I mean, it's the 4-5. It's the 4-5, and I feel like it's always like the 4-5 that's that competitive, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I believe that is quite literally because of Toronto's, like, quote unquote, like, depth slash size. Like, all of those guys are going to be able to pound the inside against Joel Embiid for 48 minutes while still letting a guy like Fred VanVleet. You're hoping that a rookie like Scotty won't hit any type of playoff wall or anything like that. And then even like a guy like Gary Trent Jr. who can like score for them off the bench, right? I'm pretty sure he's off the bench. I don't quote me on that, you know. But either way, like I want to say that the depth and the size that Toronto has will be able to hold their ground against Philly.
And really, it's just to muddy up the games to make them kind of ugly, right?
Yeah.
And in that regard, I think that it can be a lot closer of a matchup. I think I had Philly winning in like 6, which is still for Toronto making them work for a series, you know.
If James Harden and Joel Embiid are on their stuff, I don't really see Philly being like not letting the games go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If they're both playing the way that they can be, I do think, as much as I'm saying like there's going to be 48 minutes of toughness to go against Joel Embiid for 7 games, Joel's still going to be able to get his numbers because he's Joel Embiid, you know? But it's just going to be that much harder for him. It's just going to be that much more tiresome. And so then you're relying a lot more on James Harden to get the job done.
Yeah,
and
but
do we rely on James Harden
also,
to get the job done?
Yeah, but they still have like. You act
Danny
like
Green?
they got scrubs too. No, they have like Maxi. They still have Tobias. Like
Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris are very good 3rd and 4th options. But then that's when I'm gonna say this: if you've watched a couple of the Philly games, and you know Doc Rivers, you know they're poorly coached. You know they get there like they could quite literally make it to where Tyrese Maxey can get the ball and have touches. They could literally make it to where they have 4-star level scorers, like be able to have moments in all 4 like quarters by themselves to be able to score. But Doc Rivers does not do that. He doesn't. Mm-hmm. So that makes it that much harder for Tyrese Maxey to get his due. That makes it that much harder for Tobias Harris to get his due.
But it's going to be easy. Like if you're talking about their game plan, you think they're going to attack Joel Embiid, or you're saying that they're all going to have to bang with him 48 minutes. I mean, if they're going to throw all their length at him, like they're going to get some open shots somewhere. Joel, like, and if Maxey could just be the beneficiary of the hockey assist every time.
Well, so
Joel Embiid makes one pass out and they swing it, and
if you're
same
reducing
thing for Harden.
Tyrese, if you're reducing Tyrese Maxey and James Harden to catch and shoot, you've done your job on defense. Now you just need to rely on a guy like Fred VanVleet to get.
Yeah, but not if it's at the expense of like a double team, and now you're just giving James Harden wide open jumpers.
I'm not saying like that, but I'm saying
that's what I'm saying.
If
Embiid is going to command that much attention, though. Embiid's going to come, like he's got that instinct right in the post.
There's nobody that he is too damn big. Like they have size. Toronto has size, but I think it's perimeter size, and I think that would bode well with the team that didn't have a Joel Embiid. If they're a team like us, where their all-star is the point guard position. Like not the center position that's just gonna go dunk on whoever the hell's guard him down there.
But that's what I'm like. You're just asking everybody not named Pascal Siakam who has size to work their hardest on that defensive end and stop Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying, but only to the point of like I think that they're gonna make it hard on Philly. I still think Philly beats him.
I don't know. I mean, like again, to me, it'll boil down to see like what James Harden can do, to see if he does like kind of show up in this series or if we're seeing.
I think they have I think offensively though, like they're it's the same kind of like with Brooklyn of like
They have a lot of talent to be able
Yeah,
to.
it's like they're gonna get through certain teams. You know what I mean? Or like Miami, like you're not super high on Miami, but they can get past the 8 seed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Uh,
in my opinion, like I feel like Toronto is gonna make it a series because they, like you said, they do have length. They do
yeah,
have length, and also like a part of me does want, like, I don't want to see James Harden succeed,
me
and
either.
I'm bummed about it because I was so excited to
To see Joel.
root for Joel Embiid. Yeah, I
Me
was like,
too, man.
after they lost to Atlanta, I was like, I hope he, like, I wanted him to say on camera, like literally, I wanted him to say like, I'm never losing another game to Atlanta in my life, like, because I was so bummed at how they played against that team, and so I was like, this
Yeah.
guy's gonna come back ready to go, and he's played well. He's an MVP candidate, right? But
Mhm.
they got James Harden. I was like, I can't like Philly no more. What the hell? So
Mhm. And like yeah, it just sucks to see James Harden cry his way out of two teams.
yeah.
So pretty much to me, just to wrap it all up, it boils down to: are we going to see James Harden versus a regular playoff team, or are we going to see James Harden versus the San Antonio Spurs, where he chokes and blows it and loses?
I mean,
You know,
how many postseasons though have we seen James Harden not have to be the number one guy?
maybe one. Or,
You know what I'm
oh
saying? So
well,
like,
obviously
we'll see.
a lot in his like early career, but
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we'll see. I mean, again, we
And
just had that conversation
they got to the finals.
about
mhm,
stars with less responsibility. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So
And that could just take enough pressure off of him this year, and he'd be like, you know what, this is fun again. And if he gets back to,
To Harden shape
yeah, then
to that 2018 year.
that's no good.
Will be kind of a solid player. I can't lie that sometimes James Harden is a decent basketball player
When he's not crying, when he's not
when
being a
he's not
bitch like
crying.
Christian.
yeah.
um,
Well,
and then what?
that's the East. That's the
Mhm.
East.
Do we want to continue the East like you were saying? Just go to round two, round three,
Nah,
and
dude,
then
let's. I want to wait for Juan because I want Juan to say some of these too.
Juan's not going to say a single thing about these teams. Juan does not care about the NBA
I
playoffs.
don't care, and I still got shit to say.
Yeah, but Juan doesn't.
Well,
Um,
let's it's up to you, Jake. I mean, I know like eventually, or you want to do more talks over the summer, right? As
right.
we kind of wrap up our talks on the Spurs for the year. Um, do you want to stay on this Eastern side, and we'll just finish the Eastern side, and then we'll call it a day for today, and then maybe we can do the West on another day or something?
Well, I guess
Or do you
if
want to get through round one since round one starts
yeah,
tomorrow?
I think we should just get through round one then. I think
Yeah.
that'll be fine.
All right. So then let's flip over to the West real quick. Um, uh,
It's it's Phoenix.
Yes, I'm saying LA
It's
or the Pelicans. I did, to be honest, in my bracket, I think I had uh, Pelicans pushing them to 6. I think. Uh, I tried to save it, and then it took me to this window. When I tried to refresh it, it erased all my shit. Um, Mainly for the same reason that I said earlier. They're gonna have a lot of offensive weapons. They're gonna be able to make it a series. You know what I'm saying? So I can see them winning at least one. And and a team with that many stars, CJ's playing very calm, kind of like Paul George is playing. I can see them pushing it to 6. So
so realistically, I'm agreeing with you. I'm gonna say like yeah, Phoenix probably just kind of runs through this first round. Um, but I'm rooting for the eighth seed because I want that team to blow it and lose so that we can sign DeAndre Ayton. But that'll be a talk for another time. So
I could see that.
I
I
think
mean,
that's all I have to say about that.
all right. Well then,
I cannot see that happening ever.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it
yeah,
happening
yeah.
at all. Realistically, Phoenix is kind of running their way through, but I want the 8 seed to win because I want DeAndre Ayton on my basketball team next
You
year.
want to see DeAndre Ayton throwing his mouthpiece at little girls on his way out the door.
So that I can tweet out saying like, it's so frustrating to see, but it's respect. He put his heart in
Free
the
this
game.
man. Free
Let's free
Ayton.
him.
Yeah.
um,
All right. Well then, let's just keep on moving. Then I think we all got Phoenix.
yeah,
The 2-7. The 2-7 is Memphis, Minnesota.
Yeah,
Memphis,
it's
Minnesota. Memphis, Minnesota is probably going to be, I would say, the series that I want to watch the most.
Uh huh.
Because I want to see how like Juan has talked about it so much how like Memphis punks us, and if Memphis punks us, there's you know that they punk other teams. I remember seeing all those the little clips of LeBron getting punked by Memphis. So it's like, yeah, man, Memphis punks us, and they punk every team in the league. So I want to see what they do to get under Cat's skin, to see what they'll do to make him aggravated and to make him play worse. So
Yeah,
it's
I would agree with you that it's higher up on my list for anticipated ones for like some of those same reasons, right? More for like the stuff that is going to go on in between.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But
that's okay. I didn't get it at first. Whenever you said like this is what I want to watch, I thought you thought it was gonna be a good series. Like I would watch it for like the good TV, but I think they might win in 5.
I
Like
hope. I mean,
they're gonna smash
to be
them
honest,
too.
I hope, and it's crazy. Like, well, Spurs are out, right? Spurs are
Mhm.
out. I would not be mad if they get a little bit embarrassed by the Grizzlies.
Mhm.
If the
Yeah.
Wolves do, you know what I
So
mean?
and so then the thing that I'll say is that like the only way that Minnesota stays alive is if Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell are like on like the most peak of their games this series. Because I'm be honest with you, I have little faith in Cat. I have little faith in Cat. I don't have a lot of faith considering the fact that like when I look at the past and all that kind of stuff, like even when the Timberwolves made
What
it,
did that supposed to
Pat Bev.
be? Yeah, that's funny.
Even
He made me laugh
even
though. He had that Bud Light at the on the table. That was
um
funny.
when Cat, Jimmy, and Wiggins made it to the playoffs, Cat didn't do anything in particular. Like he didn't do anything special that year, and it's just like a thing of like, yeah, you can put it up to him being a baby at that time. Like he was still a little young,
And
but
this is the worst team to be a baby against, and
yeah,
that's why I want to see it. It's because
but
the matchup is so left and right. You know what I
it
mean? Like
yeah
they're very
it
opposite kind of
it's
makeups.
it still feels like Cat is a baby. Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna get at. Is like it still feels like this guy has all the talent in the world to be up there with Joel Embiid and Jokic, but isn't because he's just not
Call it
there.
like it is, Jake. What did Christopher say about James Harden? Just say it.
Nah, I'm good, man.
You keep you're just walking around it,
I'm good.
and it's
I'm good.
pissing me
He's
off.
You can
he's
call him a biggity.
a biggity.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's worse.
Nah, he's just yeah. He's being a little bitch made right now. A little bitch made. So
Yeah,
it's just
there it is.
like yeah, man. He if I don't really see him being able
I
to. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had tweeted when the Clippers were playing the Wolves, right? Yeah, I had tweeted. I said this game is 50% amazing shot making and 50% bitch assness from both
Yeah,
teams.
no kidding, man. No kidding. And so I'm just like, yeah, like I again, fan of D'Lo. I don't think D'Lo has really done anything wrong with how he's played and stuff like that for the Timberwolves. And then Anthony Edwards, he has swagger to him. He when he wants to show up,
He
he
is
will
good, dude.
show up,
He's
and
gonna be
and he's
freaking good.
incredible, man. So I'm like if those two guys are on it, yeah, that series is going a lot longer than you would think it would be.
Yeah.
But if they're not up to par, I don't think Cat's gonna be the one that carries them. Like that's just how I feel.
I think I still had it going 6 again. Again, just because talent level, they're they have
Hmm.
talent on their squad, and it's the playoffs, and so like you can have a bounce back game. You can rebound from a bad performance. You know what I mean?
And
So
and they've certainly built a good team there. Like
yeah.
it's like when you look at how the construction of both like Minnesota and Memphis is like, yeah, they have a lot of like the same level of talent.
Yeah.
So
Cat in this series is gonna have to knock down shots because he's not gonna go down there and body Steven Adams.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna have to like shoot the ball really well this
Yeah.
series.
but then
And
If he
and,
d-
and, and also and on Memphis' side though, like they've had a great year and they're on an upward trajectory from in their past couple years, but they also like they haven't proven it just yet too. So like
yeah,
I can see them giving up a game that they should have won as the 2 seed or whatever you want to say. I can see that happening along their path too. You know what I mean? So I think I had Memphis in 6.
yeah, no, I would agree with Memphis in 6.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's keep on going. The 3-6, Golden State Warriors have home court advantage over the Denver Nuggets.
Ooh, this
No,
is
Steph is up in the air at least for game one. They said that they want him to play, but he might be on a minutes restriction. Poole's been stepping up. The Clay's been kind of coming around a little bit, and then you got the MVP on the other side. So
That's a tough one to call, man. I'll probably
that
flip a
is a
coin with
very
that one.
tough, man. Honestly, that's a coin toss.
Actually, it depends. I
'Cause
mean,
I could very well see like
if
the
Steph
scheme
plays, you said Steph what now? He's
questionable.
he's questionable. They said that they're hopeful to get him in for. I think this is what I saw today is that they're hopeful to get him in for game one, but that they might have to have him on a minutes restriction.
so if Steph plays, I'm taking Golden State. Like if he plays even on a minute restriction for game one, I think his presence will open up
Yeah,
he'll open up things for other players enough for them to get some dubs.
I would agree with you. If Steph is in there from game 1 to game 7, then I'm giving it to Golden State. But I don't want to count Jokic out. At the same time, it's a thing of just like I think Golden State's defense is pretty underrated in that sense, like their team defense. So Jokic playing against a good team defense might make it that much harder because yeah, he can pick apart things, but the other guys might not be able to do what they need to do in order to
But
succeed in the series.
do they have does Golden State have the interior defense? Does he need to find his guys, or can he just eat on his own?
Right, and I mean technically that would be the answer is that you just let Jokic be Jokic and score. But who knows? Who knows if Jokic can do that for 48 minutes in a 7-game series?
True.
That's
I think
because I mean that's how we won. That's how we won against Denver without DeJounte Murray.
yeah.
So we let Jokic score. We let Jokic body. We let him do everything he wanted in that paint. But nobody else was doing anything on that team, and he got tired, and we won the game. So if that's the game plan that the Warriors want to go with, I think that's your best chance of just being able to get around him without having like too much of a problem. Because they don't have an MPJ and they don't have a Jamal Murray to let Jokic sit on the bench and let them create. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
So-
and that's kind of been their heel all year long too. You know what I mean? I think in my original like prediction or whatever, I went with the assumption that there was no Steph. That was just kind of like where I put, just because it's an unknown. And even then, it's like I think I did give the edge to Denver as the 6th seed, which I know that might be like, I don't know if it's unrealistic, but I think it was just the idea of the way that Jokic would be successful is to go through himself, which would therefore kind of slow the game down, which would kind of take away from some of the things that Golden State is probably trying to do anyway. So I don't know. I just felt like his strengths plays into the hand of that whole thing. Is kind of how I saw it. Like what Josh said, you're probably just gonna have to flip a coin. Well, with no Steph, I think with Steph, I think Golden State wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's definitely will be another one of the more entertaining series just to see what Jokic tries to do in order to create for himself.
And I am excited. Like I'm bummed for this series a little bit because I want to see the MVP candidate, like one of the top 2. I would just call him a finalist at this point. I would want to see him get a chance to go on a deep run. But I'm also, now that, with KD gone from the Warriors, I'm excited to see Golden State try to be good again, basically. You know what I mean? Like, they've had their time removed due to injuries. I'm okay if they come out with something to say. Oh, Phoenix thinks that they're the team in the West now? You know what I mean? Like, that's entertaining to me.
Yeah,
I don't mind watching that.
Yeah, and Clay's been getting more and more games under his belt. Like,
Yeah.
Clay could go out for
Draymond
60
has a
easy.
little bit of some gray hairs in his. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different era. It's I'm right back to 2015 where I'm on like let's see the Warriors win. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome to see them put the work in it, and now we get to see slightly an old man version of this team. You know what I mean? Through injuries and other things. So I'm a little bummed that they have to face each other in the first round. But I'll be down with whoever goes on.
I used to be a huge Andrew Wiggins fan. I like I've said
Same,
before.
and he's on a upswing this year too. So
Yeah, I just because I started watching basketball in 2014, Spurs didn't have a high draft pick. You know, there's nobody that I was just like, no player that I was like 100% attached to until I like started just being attached to the Spurs in general. So when I saw Andrew Wiggins get drafted, and go to the Timberwolves, I was like, oh, that's a cool guy. And then I've just been a fan of him since. Juan saying Golden State, so it's definitely a thing for me where I'm just like, yeah, I'll root for Wiggins in this matchup. I want him to be good though. Like I don't want to see Golden State win and Andrew Wiggins be as bad as he's been like post All-Star break.
Mhm.
I want to see Andrew Wiggins go back to like why he got selected to be an All-Star in the first place. You know what I mean? Let's go back to
Wait,
seeing
why
that
did
Wiggins.
he?
Honestly, shouldn't have happened.
This
Honestly, shouldn't happen. Honestly, shouldn't happen. But he got selected to be an All-Star, and that's the only thing that I can say is that
a
like
starter, nonetheless, a starter.
started nonetheless. Like I
That was a,
don't think Andrew Wiggins is really an All-Star talent, or All-Star starter. I guess maybe you can say that the stats will prove that he is good enough to be an All-Star, pre-All-Star at least pre-All-Star break. But I mean, it was just a thing. It's just like, well, he is an all-star at the end of the day. This is what he got named. This is what his title is. He needs to go back to playing at that level. He needs to go back at playing at that level, and then I'll be happy. And then I'll be like, yeah, let's go
Yeah.
Golden State. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see. I mean, Denver on the other side. I mean, they still have Aaron Gordon, DeMarcus Cousins. Plays great backup minutes for them. That can again, it's like if Golden State's weakness is interior defense, and you have 48 minutes of Jokic and and Cousins, like that could be an issue for you. You know what I mean? That like you have to where you have to adjust the way you play. You know what I mean? And so they got that. Who else they got? They got Will Barton still. Campazzo is suspended for a game
I'm
after
definitely
shoving on somebody.
definitely not buying a Wiggins jersey. Not from Golden State, at least. Maybe a Timberwolves one, but not from Golden State. You won't see me in a Golden State jersey. You will never see me in Golden State or a Lakers jersey. I can appreciate Golden State,
I
but
will
you'll never see me in
take
those.
a freaking Baron Davis
We believe.
We Believe jersey. I
Baron
will
Davis
take one.
Monty Ellis, no.
Yeah.
Monte. Yeah, no.
Stephen Jackson.
You'll never see.
That boy Stephen.
You'll
Steph.
never see me. You'll never see me wearing a Golden State jersey or a Lakers jersey, no matter what. I can appreciate. You can appreciate Steph at least, and appreciate the Warriors. But there's a little too much. Of me growing up learning to watch basketball, and a
there's
lot
only
of it
two.
getting ruined by the fact that Golden State had Kevin Durant to add to their team.
There's only two Laker jerseys that I'll ever buy, and it's the Kobe #8 and a Magic Johnson jersey. Those would be the two. Those would be the two Laker jerseys that I would like.
Yeah,
That I would rock.
it'd never be me,
Never during Spurs basketball season.
dude.
Even never a day after we lose in the playoffs either.
Why would you even ask that question? Why would we ever get a Kawhi jersey for the Lakers?
Oh my god.
That would never ever be allowed in a Moreno household.
Hey, speaking of the Lakers though, you see what LeBron did to y'all. Y'all could have had DeMar. Y'all could have had DeMar. If y'all would have got DeMar, y'all would have been freaking set right now. They would definitely be in the playoffs. I think DeMar and LeBron could have kept that team afloat.
If we still had Derek White, and then we had KCP on our bench and Kuz at our four this last year though. What do you think that would have looked like for us? And technically Trez, if that's like the deal that we accept.
No, it wouldn't have been. Who did they let go?
They traded
Who
away.
was the trade for Russ?
They traded away KCP, Kyle Kuzma, and I'm pretty sure Montrezl.
Those are the three. Montrez went to Washington.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did.
So
To get back to this other series though, I also really like this young guy, Bones Highland.
Bones Highland has
Oh
been
yeah,
crazy,
that
dude.
fool.
It
Uh,
this last year's draft, man, they had a lot of sleepers in the second round, and it's a thing of just like, yeah, I mean it's cool to see a guy like Bones, on Chicago they have the Io DeSumo, and he's like a very defensive minded point guard, obviously with the Pelicans and Herbert Jones, so I
mhm.
mean like it was just like, yeah, like we definitely I don't want to like again. I don't want to really bring up the Spurs too much, but like I think almost all those guys. Maybe Bones was the only person that got drafted after Joe, but the other two got drafted before Joe. I just wonder what would have happened if we would have gotten any of those guys.
Right. Right.
Um,
I was gonna say this with Bones Highland too is they also got Bryn Forbes. So you know, I think though
Oh my God,
I
and
think
Forbes.
all that kind of stuff was like factoring in when I said that like I would, with no Steph in mind, me sliding the edge towards the MVP was like, I don't know. I don't think it's exactly like it's just Joel and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
they got some stuff, but we'll
yeah,
see. That's a close one.
I do
Let's
like
see.
the idea of saying Bryn Forbes in seven. I
And
appreciate that. I
there we go.
appreciate that comment, Juan.
He'll go 7 for 7 on 3 pointers.
And still end up being a
Um,
negative.
You see how classy the Spurs are. We let two guys go, and those guys are in the playoffs. We didn't send them to.
That was the thing that I will say is like we
Wait, where
we
did Wancho go?
Wancho went to Utah. Wancho's in Utah
He's
right now.
yeah,
three guys. There we go.
Yeah.
and Rudy.
We're 3 for 3.
Rudy's also in Utah, and we also have
I'm
what's
just
it
talking
called?
about trades this year.
Yeah, Thad in Toronto.
Oh my God, they said peace. We're going to the
So
playoffs.
so I will say
Enjoy
this
that
for
couch.
Derek and the Celtics to be winning, that makes me happy. It makes me happy because that's a good trade for both sides, and I don't think anybody's ever like. I mean, I know Juan's kind of talked about it. I know Josh or not Josh. Was it you, Chris? Maybe. He just kind of talked about how like disappointed like to see a guy like Derek go and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, well, it definitely wasn't me.
I mean, for sure.
Um, and so it's like a thing for me where I'm just like, yeah, like I get being disappointed to see a guy like Derek go, and then to see a team succeed that much more when they have Derek on their team. But this trade worked out so well for both teams. It worked out so
Yeah,
well for both
it
teams
did.
because we got a guy like Jay Rich, and Jay Rich has been performing so much better for us than he was for the Celtics. So it's just like, yeah, man, we got a really good return in what we did. So
Yeah.
um, perfect.
All right. Well, here's another kind of a flip of a coin one due to injuries. It's 4-5 Dallas. Dallas having the home court over Utah Jazz. Uh, we know that Doncic is not playing in Game 1. So even even if you factor in that he could play and probably will be some kind of hobbled version of himself, it's a 4-5 matchup. Like Utah's got weapons too. Like
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm saying Utah. I'm going Utah easily.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Luca got hurt
Mm-hmm.
makes it a Utah win. Like
I say the same. I say the same.
if
I think that they rely so much on him, and I know that they got Dimwitty now, and that they've been getting some production out of other
And
guys.
and, and Brunson, right? Jalen Brunson.
Yeah,
That fool's been
yeah,
doing well. He has
Brunson. So
7
like
MVP.
I know that they've been getting good things out of their guys that aren't Luca, but it's all fed off of or through him. And
that team is very much a Houston Rockets 2017-2018 team. Um, that was just like, yeah, like it's all fed through that one star player, and you let him just pick apart what he wants to pick apart.
mhm.
Um, but they had a good defense. They had a really good defense, and I mean it's at least gonna slow down Utah, but I really don't. Yeah, I really don't see Dallas being able to take anything over Utah if Luka's not on their team. Um, which is kind of a shame because I'm not gonna lie, like I was an avid believer in like seeing Utah try to succeed and like seeing what they could do. I'm a fan of Mike Conley. I'm a fan of Donovan Mitchell. I'm a fan of Rudy Gobert. Like all those guys, I want to see them
You're a
be able
fan of
to.
everybody,
I
man.
want to be able to see them be competitive. But man, it just no, like this team just needs to blow up. It just needs to fall apart like as soon as it can because it's clearly not working. It's clearly not working. So
Hey, you know how obviously Pop is coming, to the end of his coaching career, and they were talking about Snyder maybe possibly being a
Candidate.
candidate. What if we just snag both of them fools? I'll take
no,
I'll take I'll take Donovan and Snyder.
why would we do that? Because like if we know that Quinn Snyder's offense is surrounded like centered around Donovan Mitchell just taking every single shot, why would we want to like bring that to our team? I don't want to bring that to our team.
Because I think you bring that. I think it's a collective. Like that might be the. It might not just be him.
Yeah, I
I,
think it would. I think it would change over there. It's the point of attack is through him and Rudy Gobert,
Right.
and it
Well,
wouldn't
no,
be
it's
it
not
wouldn't be
though.
the.
It's only through Donovan Mitchell. That's like the whole point. Is like that's what I'm saying is
Well,
like
okay. Well, let me say it this way: like where Utah decides to put pressure on you is through Rudy Gobert and through Donovan Mitchell. Like that's their points of emphasis,
mhm.
and that just wouldn't be the case in San Antonio.
well, I think that with our, I would hope that we would keep the majority of our staff, like, and their influence would be
Yeah,
like,
you would hope it would be Snyder and Mitchell coming to the Spurs, not like us
yeah,
changing into Snyder
yeah.
and
That
Mitchell.
that's what
See,
I'm saying.
that's
Yeah.
and that's the only thing for me. I just don't think I don't think I've seen enough from like Snyder as a coach on the offensive end
I think it's a fair assessment to say that he's not ready for it yet, or that Snyder needs to prove it more.
because
The,
he's
the only thing I feel bad about, no matter who comes, those are big ass shoes to fill. So I don't
yeah,
think
Well, yeah,
anybody is ready for it.
yeah.
of course, but it's still the thing of just like Quinn Snyder like if our biggest problem is the fact that we like our offensive schemes just don't work out that well, then it's like no, I don't want
Well,
to bring another guy who's not
our
gonna bring.
offensive schemes don't work that well right now.
Because of roster construction, yeah.
Yeah, but at the
And
same time,
if we have a guy like Donovan Mitchell,
okay,
and maybe it is just that
but
he hates Rudy Gobert.
I I don't believe this, Juan. I don't believe this. I don't think that he's really a shot chucker, sorry, because like I mean, yeah, like it's literally the scheme. It's the offense. They make that offense run through Donovan Mitchell. They
But okay, so you're saying you wouldn't label him as a shot chucker, that it's the scheme. So then you're saying that you can see him in a different kind of scheme being seen a different kind of way.
yeah.
What if he's with us in a different kind
If
of scheme?
if Donovan Mitchell alone is with us, yes, 100%. But not Donovan Mitchell plus
Uh,
Quinn Snyder.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because it would just to me it's just like well you're
Fine,
just gonna bring
No,
we'll take Mitchell. You leave Snyder.
the only reason I say that is because you were talking about blowing the team up. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's more of a like it's more of like when DeMar came to San Antonio and Rudy was already there, and he was like, hell yeah, my homie's here. You know what I mean? So if Quinn goes and it's kind of like, hey Donovan, hey, I'm already over here.
no
That's
that's not
what I
gonna
was thinking. That's what I was saying.
that's not gonna happen. Now Juan I get what you're saying that he would take the ball out of DJ's hands. To me,
Hey, DJ
either
might make
way,
him a better player. DJ might make. I
either
mean,
way,
maybe Donovan
we
needs DJ on his ass.
we need a bona fide scorer. We need a pure scorer in that starting lineup. You need a guy who can have the ball in his hands and will just like pretty much take and make a shot that he like just wants to do off his own will. And I think that's why I think like Zach Levine is like our biggest target this offseason. That's why I think we should get him. Again, we will talk about this stuff a little bit more when we do our season wrap up.
Yeah, we will.
So I don't want to talk about it too much. But that's just my point is that if we get a guy like Donovan Mitchell, we're not making him a shot chucker anymore. He would just become a way better scorer because he'd become in a more efficient offense. And then DeJounte, yes, he's going to lose touches, but he would be setting up Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell would just be looking that much better.
Yeah.
I would be a fan of that.
So do you think? And I know we're not going to go into round two, but like, do you think that Utah beats? Do you think Utah beats Dallas only because of the injury? Like, if Luke
Yes.
is healthy, you're picking Dallas.
Yes, if Luka's healthy, I'm picking Dallas to be able to take care of Utah. But
Mhm.
because Luka's hurt, I reluctantly give Utah
Yeah,
the upset.
I would agree. I think that Utah does make it out of the first round, so like because of the Luka injury, and
Yeah,
it does suck for Dallas. Like they have to kind of put off success again. You know what I mean? With their star and everything like that. I mean, part of me is okay with it, division rivalry and all that, with them not making it as far as they want to go. But at the same time, like it does suck to see like the injury be the reason for it. And maybe I don't know. You're talking about like blowing up the team, but maybe they feel some sense of security because they make it to the second round. You know what I mean, or
yeah,
whatever. In Utah, they got Jordan Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Mike Conley. You know what I mean? Like
they have
again,
a solid team. I like
it's
Utah's
kind of
team.
like Denver, right? It's like they have stuff.
Yeah, like I like that team, but they don't have the chemistry. They don't have anything that like they're not making it work over there in Utah.
Yeah,
They are not making it work over in Utah.
for sure.
So
Well, Jake, I think we've been going for over 2 hours. It was fun to talk some non Spurs basketball though.
100%, man. It's I that's why I'm like excited to be able to see what I'll be able to try to bring for like the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
Um, just because it's like I'm literally like at least while the season's going, I'm just gonna be talking about basketball, and I
yeah,
might we'll have our Spurs we'll have our Spurs like talk our recap our season wrap up on the 24th, which is not this Sunday because this Sunday's Easter, but the week after. Um, but then after that, it'll just be general NBA talk, and then we'll be going into the summer, and I'll be working from there. So
yeah. So if anybody check this out, like we do want to try to do some. It's probably gonna come in the form of like Jake said, Jake kind of heading some kind of stream, and we'll figure it out. I'm excited to see like what kind of things we can do over the summer for sure.
hmm
And I did see like just over the course of maybe the last like 2 weeks or something like that, just getting a few more followers on the YouTube channel, on the Twitter feed and stuff like that. So if anybody caught us late in the year, and first of all, we appreciate you coming over, and we're gonna try to be around a little bit over the summer too. So stick around.
for sure, for sure. Um, I don't know, real quick, like who are your favorites if y'all have favorites to come out of like the East and West?
For what I would want to see, I would want to see a rematch, Phoenix
Yes,
Bucks.
me too.
I wouldn't be just like last year when I wouldn't have either way. I would have been fine. I would not be mad if you get a little revenge and Phoenix gets a chance to even it up.
That would be cool. That would be cool to see. My favorites out of the East are definitely the Bucks, like I said earlier.
Hmm.
Out of the West, it would just be interesting to see one of the first three seeds. It would just be interesting to see one of the first three seeds get out of the West.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I had a let me real quick because I know we're definitely wrapping up, but I had Phoenix. I had Phoenix over all the way to the end, and then on the other side though, I think I had Memphis. Yeah, Memphis losing in the second round.
Interesting.
Against
Interesting.
Well, to be honest, I kind of think that they would lose to either Golden State or Denver, but also I don't know. I don't know. Denver. I don't know if Denver has enough to slug it through Golden State and Memphis. That would be tough. So
because I would hope for a rematch. I would hope for Bucks Phoenix, but like I would not be surprised. I mean, not that I would not be surprised, but I would not be like opposed to seeing like must see TV basketball Bucks versus Memphis. I still
eh,
want the Bucks to win. I did
I
not want
mean,
them to win, but I would love to see the series. I wish they could play like in before the finals.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
If
know,
if Ja takes Memphis all the way to the finals, it'll be pretty crazy.
It would be
be
crazy.
crazy, but I would enjoy it. That's the thing for me. It's like I don't like.
Oh,
I
and if Ja wins Most Improved Player, like that's fucking whack.
it is very whack. We
I'm just
definitely
throwing that out there at the end of our podcast. It is fucking.
it
He's like more of like he's the second round. He's supposed to be this good.
yeah,
Like
like
this is why you draft them
I
number
understand
one, number
people
two.
people saying like, well,
It's
not
just whack.
everyone's gonna be an MVP candidate and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you're right, but you expect the number 2 pick in the draft to be the person that is that.
Yeah.
That's what you expect. That out of everybody in the entire draft, you're expecting your top 3 picks to be that. Um, and it's just like there's no reason he should be getting MIP, especially MIP votes over DJ. Like if DJ
Yeah.
doesn't get it, DJ doesn't get it. It is what it is, right? Like there are some other candidates that I can understand getting most improved player over DeJounte Murray, but Ja being that person is so whack. Ja being that person is so whack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. It has been exciting to see them. Their trajectory, right? And they frustrate the hell out of me, but they play a good style of basketball.
A lot more respectable than
Yes.
your other teams. And last thing I want to say is it's crazy to see the Spurs tree, this pop tree, and how like crazy it is, and where like almost all of these contending teams in the league are from pop. Like they all like all their coaching is from pop. You got Jenkins, you have Monty, you have Steve. Who else? Who else on the East? You have Bud, Ime, freaking Borrego, who obviously didn't make it to the playoffs, but was still
Mhm.
playing at least. Like you have so many of these coaches throughout the league that all stem from pop, and I'm like, that's crazy. Quinn for Utah, so like
Tiago.
Tiago in Brooklyn. So I mean, like it's so crazy, just so crazy to see how many people. I just named 6 teams that were all in like the play-in slash playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So
Spurs.
Spurs are the like craziest influence ever that nobody talks about. So
That's all right. That's why we do it.
that's why we do it.
But
But
yeah. All right.
alrighty
Well,
then.
let's get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. This was
Go ahead,
fun.
take us out.
We'll be back.
Yeah, it was.
Peace.
All right. Cold open, cold close. Bye bye, guys.